Oh, yeah. Look at these two guys, right? Look at this. We're back. We're ready to do this. Both hands inside the box. And boy, is this a big one this week, right? Hey, your boy BCX, throw it up inside the ring. Brian Campbell, you're looking at the stash that carries the cash with the red liquid crack.
This is
side.
not liquid crack. This is some high quality H2O, as my boy Bobby Boucher used to say. I add a little bit of the crystal light to it, so I think it basically does make it liquid crack at that point, chemically speaking, but no bubbles, so that's got to be worth something.
Yeah, well, let's get people out of the cage. Rafe Bartholomew is here. Bruh, KGB is here. Thank you. All the buddies are here. All the good times, all right? Or Rastafari. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's what
Hell yeah. Shout out to Pennsylvania.
Rafe, we have so much to talk about here inside the box. In fact, you know, Ernest De La Cruz is inside the box from Washington Heights, and I know Rafe might have met a BBL or three there. Is that true?
I did used to play basketball in youth tournaments uptown, so you know, it would be nice once in a while when I could meet a girl on the way out.
Do you think we should hold it against Lord Tariq and Peter Guns during the Uptown video that they shot at Shea Stadium while talking about the Bronx, you know, which has Yankee Stadium? I mean,
this is sort of blasphemous, but for some reason I could not get into Lord Tariq and Peter Guns.
Okay. I mean, but that hit still, that hit.
That beat,
with the horns, you know, hit me with the horns. You know what I'm saying? Also, people would like to say ham sandwich, preferring the smaller boxes if preferable. Okay, you know, we all,
I mean, you can adjust the size of the ring if you have the negotiating power.
Okay, all right. And also from Dick's Insider, which should be everyone's goal, I've supplied you with literally the perfect video clip for BC's Feces. All right, that's another show we got called Morning Combat.
That's great branding, man. I enjoy the BC's Feces. Unfortunately, it comes after about 90 minutes of skinhead.
Yeah. Quickly, Rafe, before we have so much box to unwrap and open up here, they want to know, being a native New Yorker, but also being a Detroit residente in Auburn Hills, who are you cheering for, Knicks or Pistons?
All right, look, I may get in trouble for this. But, you know, to quote another native New Yorker, rest in peace, Big L, I'm from New York, but never really was a fan of the Knicks. So, you know, I enjoy this Pistons team. I have not been a big fan of Jalen Brunson since I saw him play for Team USA in the 2023 World Cup in Manila, where he was not good. Not his fault. Look, NBA and international basketball, very different. So it makes sense. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Detroit basketball on this one, even though deep down, really all I cheer for is players from New York. Players from New York. That's what matters.
I just hope both teams have fun, Rafe, as I switch around the old man in the hat, Chuck Mindenhall special midlife crisis old guy hat here. Shout out to that gentleman. Hey, it is Thursday, May 1st here of the 25s, and we are one day out from Times Square, the Ring Mag Series. Turkey Al-Sheikh, Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, Devin Haney, Teo, just to name a few. It's also a super huge weekend with Canelo on Saturday, Inoue on Sunday, and Rafe, we happen to be coming off of. Did you not experience what went down last Saturday, the debut Ring Magazine Series card? Rick Reno dressing like a mobster on vacation throughout the proceedings, and then Eubank-Benn giving us the definition, am I wrong, of instant classic.
Sure, I'll go with that. I just rewatched that fight. It gets you hyped, all right? Everything about it works out almost just right. You know, I guess there were no knockdowns. There was no, you know, he had no business getting up from that body shot type moment in this fight. However, it's rare to you assume as a fan that, you know, because they're incentivized to win, they care. Fighters are always trying to, you know, give their all. But this was some next level. There was no question that these two guys were pouring out the jug throughout the fight at multiple times throughout the fight. They weren't saving anything for the last round, yet they still got there and poured out some more. It was dope, man. It was it was, yeah, give it an instant classic. That's fine with me.
It was. I just want to know quickly, we'll break this fight down. Are you more of the side, which side of your bon air, right? Which side of your flatulence? Oh, which side of what I'm basically trying to say is, when this fight happened, I was so overjoyed that I'm like, oh my God, that is the fight of the year. Like, forget all the other fights, shut it down. And then my colleague, Brent Brookhouse, who I respect a lot from CBS Sports, was like, dude, I think that's one of the best fights of the decade. So that's one half of the equation. The other half is people going, it was a fun fight, but no title on the line. They fought a little reckless and sloppy, blah, 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 blah. To me, that's blasphemous. Where do you fall in the extremes on this?
You know, it's gonna be a challenge for me to get all the way over to the full bon air version. That
really, even with that storyline,
Brent. I don't give a fuck
friends?
about storylines.
I love your daddy.
They aren't good friends. Their daddies hate each other. They're not good friends. The storyline, I mean, doesn't hurt. It's hard, and I think it transcends the thing. The credit to the fight I want to give it is that it transcended the sloppiness, the fact that you knew that this was sort of a made up event, right? They're not in the same weight class. They really shouldn't be meeting in their careers ever, except for the fact that their fathers had this incredible rivalry, and they also clearly dislike each other and wanted to fuck each other up bad in that ring. And they got that chance. They made it like Conor-Benn was willing to go up 2 weight classes, and Eubank was willing to come down and really, you know, sweat himself into a shell of himself in some ways to make this war happen. So it transcends the drawbacks. But when you look at it, it is a little bit of a sloppy Super Bowl in a way that makes it fucking appealing. Like,
yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a negative that becomes a positive because they let it all hang out, bro.
It's yes. I like if you poo-poo this fight, you do have to also go back and at least apply the same principles to other to other classics between not all-time great fighters, so we're like talking Gotti Ward. Yes.
Alvarado Rios.
Yes, you do. And those but this didn't quite reach some of the levels of ultra violence that those did, but it delivered, man. Fight of the year, I think it is a front runner for fight of the year, and I say that with due respect to the yes, shout out to the hipsters, shout out to the contrarians. I say this to due respect to them Japans, Kenshiro Taraji and Akui. That fight, look, on every sort of, if you're just a robot, if you're the AI judge, that little dickhead they have on the Sky Sports broadcast, if you're the AI judge comparing the merits of these two fights, you probably come out at the end saying, well, Kenshiro versus Akui, that one, they're landing cleaner punches. There's more. It's at a higher level. All of these things. That's the better overall fight. In my heart, I can't even get. If I love to be a fucking hipster asshole, and I can't get there.
Stop it.
I can't get there. The Eubank-Benn. God damn. That matters. That matters on the Emmanuel Stewart. My God, look at this. Oh, my God.
Dude, I had so many Emmanuel moments during that fight where I'm just like, oh, my God. Just Ben going for the home run punch over and over again. Dude, Eubank being in the shape that he was in, like, holy crap. The dad's finally showing love to the sons. The fact that these two journeymen redeemed every part of their knee.
Be careful. Do not use the word journeymen incorrectly. We've seen that can come back at you.
These two second-generation bin men. No, I'm kidding right there. All right, enough of that. We'll get into that.
That's too harsh.
That fight was a banger. You're right, DJ Serenity. Now, a couple quick questions or comments of real life before we get deep inside this box where we have so much I mean, we might get Fundora Zoo Part 2 coming up, okay? We got a lot to talk about here. First and foremost.
Doesn't he have to fight Keith first?
No,
That sucks, man. Keith went to Australia to make that to build up that fight. Keith deserves that shit. Is he hurt? Give Keith what he deserves.
Wrath Bartholomew is here. That's Rafe with a W. Also, Mr. Cunningham says, rumor have it Rafe's mustache has fully consumed his upper lip. That's also true. And Lazy Bed, Rafe's mustache is like an oven hood for his top lift. People love it. You know, they love it.
It's a bonnet. It's a bonnet, like the front of a car.
They like it extra sloppy right there. Rafe, I did get into a topic or two prematurely. I pre-jacked here. How are you? How's life?
Why are we doing this? Why we were jacking just fine. Now we got to go back. Oh man, you're blue ballsing all of us. I'm fine. What's up?
You're like, is this a therapy session? I did not sign up for this. Could you explain to me again what that Cubao hat represents?
Yeah, New York Cubao. Cubao is part of Quezon City in Metro Manila. It's sort of an inside joke in the Philippines because there's a major street there that runs through it called New York Avenue. And so whenever I was around in the Philippines throughout my entire life of going back and forth, living there at times, people would say, "Where are you from?" I'd say, I'm from New York. And they'd say, "Oh, New York. I'm from New York too. New York Cubao."
Oh, all right. Yeah.
NYC, baby.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. Representing New York Cubao in the house here. Rafa, you don't like to talk about yourself much. So is this the end of you talking about yourself?
You ask, I answer.
All right. Have you been dialed into these NBA playoffs?
Paying attention? Yeah. Look, I'm too old now to watch these West Coast games. But I do watch. Yeah.
All right. Right now, who's going to win it all?
Who's going to win it all? Who the hell knows who's going to win it all?
Oh, you can't play that game with me? Okay, then let's play.
I hate to say it. No, look, I'm not even going to say it. I do think maybe the Celtics, but I hate those motherfuckers. So let's say Cleveland. I don't think they're going to win. But shout out to Mark Jerome, JV coach at my high school back in the day. His son, Ty Jerome, balling out. Shout out to Riverside Church. The Hawks, Mark Jerome worked there for a while.
Barbecue Bob.
Yeah. Mark Jerome, good, like top bloke through and through. I didn't even get to play for him because I never played JV. But my boys who came up afterwards said he was a great coach. We kind of wanted him to come step up to varsity. Anyway, Mark Jerome, Ty Jerome, Cleveland all the way.
Shout out. I don't believe in Cleveland, but that's fine. Also, real quick. Old man Dave saying when Rafe's not on camera, he wears a pick in his mustache. Is that true? That'd be very New York of you if you did.
That's a good gimmick. I should do that.
Fred Vasquez wants to know when you're going to go full Brad. Just go full Brad from.
What does that mean? You're talking about my Bakekong?
From Bakekong, the telenova, the soap opera. I mean, when you were handling women, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You were not afraid to slap a bee.
Does Rafe Boogs need to slap a hoe? Was that question was answered.
Okay. And also Mr. Cunningham, sometimes he pre-jacks just to get a little extra blood flow down there. The ladies love it. Wow, this is why nobody watches this show.
That's how you shoot your load, too.
And I'm proud of it. All right. That's Rafe's life. I do, though, have two final questions for you. Bill Belichick's girlfriend, what's going on? What's happening?
Well, I know, man. It's just weird. Look. Oh, no. What's going on? He's an old man who's whipped. That happens. Like, we've seen that before. We could probably point to a few people in the boxing MMA media.
You talking about from Las Vegas?
Yeah. Look, okay. There's a lot of strange running around in Las Vegas, and you could get caught up.
Do you think that Bill's 401k is gone and he has no idea?
No, look, I'm sure he's fine. Like, he's got enough to go around. Hopefully, she doesn't clean him out. He needs to. Shane Mosley needs to go have an intervention with that man before he gets.
By the way, Shane Mosley's been quietly training Devin Haney to sit down on his power shots. So, how's that for a transition back into the box? All right,
I have no clue if that's going to work out.
All right, that is the Rafe life update. Now, though, we must get into this show. Before we do, I want to experiment with the new technology that I'm trying to figure out for this show, Rafe. I think the sound bite of the week was given to us by one Teofimo if you're willing to let me have this. Let's go with it. Okay, let's go with it here.
Okay.
Uh,
If this
let's
is working.
I think I can make this work, just not quickly though. Just not quickly. All right, here we go.
Fight, pull up and make sure not to pull out. Let's go. We fucking fight.
Rafe, what is why is that man wearing a luchador mask? And yeah.
I mean, look, props make sense at a press conference. That's fine. I don't know about that. What does that mean? What does he mean in this context here? Who's gonna? He doesn't want Arnold Barbosa to pull out of him. I don't know. Hey, yo, lick him down like a step, Teo.
Yeah, as Big Baby, the other Big Baby would say, pause. Thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna get into the box right now. Let's start it off. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn last weekend. I mean, what just an absolute magical night. I wrote for CBS Sports, Rafe, that it was, forget the cliche, it was literally a movie. It was like a movie. I mean, it was. And when Eubank Sr. arrives an hour before the fight, gets out of the car, pro wrestling storyline Swerve style, and the pop in the arena is insanity. Are you caught up in that, like I was? We're like, oh shit, they were working us all along. Or maybe they weren't, and maybe Senior just decided Rastafari to come in there and pretend and get his sons back. All I know is they built up one of the better builds to a big fight that I've seen in a long time, from the egging, from all the craziness.
From the PEDs, they worked it all.
But I expected it not to live up anywhere near the expectations, and it over exceeded so much. Separate even from the crazy action, the desperate level that they fought with, which made it so special. Were you caught up in all things outside the ring? The crowd at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the epic entrance with the violins, dude. Like, I normally don't pop for that stuff, but everything was chef's kiss. If this was Turkey's day one on this new ring series, which is going to take us to Times Square, it's going to take us to Ellis Island or 9/11 or somewhere else in July. It's going to take us to Alcatraz one day. Holy shit, they hit a monster home run last Saturday. Did they not?
I agree that the production, everything around it was the atmosphere was A+++. All right, let's not start sucking too many turkeys' wangs here, because this is what the UK does. This is what a good fight atmosphere in London, in Manchester, in Birmingham, wherever the fuck else, Liverpool. Shout out to my Scousers.
Sure,
yes, yeah. Up there. Yeah, shout out to the Geordies. That is what that like we've seen this before. Like the atmosphere, the energy at these UK shows, these major like domestic rivalries, it always delivers, and this delivered in the same way. I don't think this has to do with the production genius of the Ring Magazine crew and Turkey Al Sheikh. I really do think it is the playbook that they have been using at Frank Warren shows, at Matchroom shows with Eddie Hearn, at whatever Ben Shalom does if he does his own shows. This we've seen this happen before. I mean, this is 80K and Wembley stuff. I mean, they always come through with good atmospheres for these shows. And so, yeah, but so that aside, it was awesome, man. There are other things. Look, little details like the music between rounds at UK shows, so much better than the shit we get here. I mean, it's outstanding. Whatever between like rounds 5 and 6, when they played the like Delilah, oh, Delilah, and they're like the whole crowd is singing. And then, did you catch, Brian, before round 12? Do you remember what they played in that arena?
No.
Hearts on Fire, my man.
Oh my God.
I mean, because we were watching a Rocky movie play out. We were watching the final scene of any Rocky basically in that fight. And then they played the Rocky music. And this was cool too. This
insane. And I mean, this pop right here, I won't play the audio so we don't get flagged, but like, dude, this shit was theatrical. It was Shakespearean. It was everything I want. I mean, were you not moved for this part right here, this storyline, the pro wrestling of it, or at least, or maybe the father-son repair of their
Yo,
estranged
I
relationship.
didn't fall for that shit at all, Brian. Like I knew, no part of me doubted that Eubank Sr. was going to miss this event. I know everything that he said, and I think he probably believed a lot of it. But just because some bullshit is going on around you doesn't mean you're not going to be part of that bullshit if you get a choice to indulge, because it's good for you too.
All right, do you believe
Chris
Eddie?
Eubank's been a fame whore like as long as I've seen him in his life.
Do you believe Hernas de la Cruz sharing that Eddie Hearn was on Ariel's show yesterday, and he's claiming that Chris Eubank Sr. was paid to be there by Sheikh Turkey Al
How is
Sheikh?
that? How is that what is there to criticize about that? If you get to be at something you probably were going to go to on your own, and you get some guy who just likes to throw money around because it makes him feel good, like this is like, why are you mad at the people who would take 100,000 pesos from Manny Pacquiao just because he walks by them and is handing out money? Like if somebody's throwing money around, go get it. I don't like. Was it? Yes, I do believe it was contrived. Is that a yeah? So what? It was a fun
but
moment.
Contrived
He
by
looked
the
good.
Eubanks to trick, like when Chris Sr. called his son a disgrace, and we played out that storyline. Was that fake, or were they really at odds? Senior was probably already considering coming anyway, and then maybe Uncle Turkey was like, "Yo, we need you here. I'll drop a couple Ks." No M's, but I'll drop a couple Ks.
What if he dropped? What if he dropped like an M? You think you could get an M out of Turkey just for that?
I mean, I guess the better question is, how much do you think Turkey's paying for this Times Square event? Like straight up, how much do you think he's paying in totality?
Lots of M's. I mean,
100 M.
I have no clue what you have to pay the city for that. Hopefully a lot. Hopefully more than MSG, right? Because this is Times Square.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like in the whatever. What is that? Is that 8 figures?
It's. I mean, with the salaries too of the fighters, he might be paying 100 million.
Nobody on that. None of the 3 main fights. Nobody's making under $1 million, right?
No, it's going to be insane. So I guess I bring that up to say, like, if they're going to spend that much on this one night, little things like an M to Daddy Senior. And then I loved, by the way, and Mr. Cunningham's not wrong, contrived or not.
Amen. That's
pro wrestling or not, chef's kiss. But to have the dadas agree to sit ringside at the same table with the cameras, I mean, it was everything about it was perfect. And you might be right. Turkey didn't bring this. UK brought this. Like the history between the dads brought this. And then obviously the sons took it to an entirely freaking new level.
The fact that it was happening in a country that loves boxing, like where boxing is a major sport still. There aren't that. I mean, like if you had a huge Canelo fight at Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, which still hasn't happened, that would be, I bet we would see a special atmosphere there. Especially if he got to fight Benavidez, a Mexican-American fighter there, and something like that. But yeah, Canelo versus anybody, that I think that would be, the fact that boxing still has a place like that in the UK, and this was an enormous rivalry with that history, with those storylines, with the buildup, with the sort of pump fake of the first fight that never happened because of Conor Benn's testing positive for PEDs. Like all of that led to this incredible night last Saturday.
It did. And I got to play what I thought was the MVP moment of last Saturday. It was after the fight when Chris Eubank Sr. was interviewed in the ring. And part of the things that he would say, Rafe, was, he called the performance from his son legendary. It was like he was affirming his son publicly for the first time, meaning that second generation sons are always going to have a long road to try to live up to the greatness of their dads. And I think both 35-year-old Chris Eubank Jr. and 28-year-old Conor Benn have really struggled. They've had fame, but they've struggled to create their own legacy or real defining moments. And I think not only did this fight have that romantic added part of it, almost a movie hook to it, in the fact that they were like two underachieving, flashy wanderers who found themselves through each other and found really their place in British boxing lore. To see the dad affirm that afterwards so purely. I mean, it's going to bring tears. You're going to be thinking about watching Bogalata 1 with Big G and laughing as Ludu was falling off. But then Eubank Sr. gave us this drop. And I nearly dropped when I heard it. So freaking good.
He's going strong right the way through the fight. I am so proud of him. That's my son. That's right. That's why I'm here. I was always going to be here. That's right. Rastafari.
Yeah, that's right, Rafe. Rastafari. He was always going.
He was always going to be there.
How do we switch? Now we switch. Okay, here we go. Musical. I'm still a work in progress technologically. Dude, when he started doing that Rastafari shit, I mean, I'm just like, damn, man, I was always going to be there for my son. Dude,
you don't like, I mean, that makes sense because, like, up to the moment, right? Oh, everything up to the fight, you can be there in your rational mind saying, okay, this is bullshit. This shouldn't happen. I hate this. Like, my son has to come down to a weight that is no longer comfortable for him against a guy who's already had, some questions about what kind of beef he's eating, what kind of eggs he's eaten, whatever you want to say, who's already been caught, essentially cheating, in the lead up to their first fight. And we're going to do this all again. Like, you're in your rational mind up to fight night or up to some threshold right before then, you can say, all right, this is bullshit. I don't agree with this. But then on the day, it's like, this my family, my blood is in here about to fight. Fuck that. I'm going to be there. Right. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm glad he did it.
Senior loves the spotlight. Senior loves to be a part of it. I mean, Senior won the moment, which I love. So normally, like, the pre-fight pomp and circumstance, when it's done right, when it's AJ walking onto a stage in front of 80K and he's got the giant flamethrower lighting his letters on fire, like, when they're doing that shit, it just works. But when Senior and Junior went up on the stage and they had that full classical band behind them, and then Senior's just beaming. I mean, he's just like soaking up the moment. And then Junior, you could see he's like, holy shit, I've made it. I've finally made it. But dude, like, correct me if I'm wrong, we all assumed they would have taken the paycheck, had a decent fight, but kind of mailed in the inevitable lottery ticket that they always were going to be able to cash because of their dad's rivalry. Did you have any expectation? Forget what they produced. Nobody expected that. But did you have an expectation that both of them would exit the fight this elevated? Like, was there a scenario that you thought it would go that way? What were you expecting? Because they pushed so far past the expectations that I can't figure out if the build or the fight was better, or if together it's just the best story that's been told in boxing in a long ass time.
Oof, that's tough. I mean, look, I expected a good fight. I wouldn't have said that it was going to be an instant classic just because you're crazy to suggest that in the first place, right? I mean, like, you cannot make magic happen. Magic happens. And so, but the way that they fought, the way that they approached the fight, the sort of like balls out way that they both, laid it on the line in from the first round, that was sort of along the lines of what I thought they would do, and why last week when we're trying to call the fight, what might happen, we were both so hesitant to really commit to anything, because the only thing we could really reliably expect to happen was that both of these fighters was going to want to come out and make this statement and sort of defend the family name and continue this legacy of Ben versus Eubank that is now a 2-generation legacy. I hope they get to make it 3 someday. I don't. Maybe their daughters can fight in the ring, and that'll be the first female fight I get excited for. But either way, like, it was hard to predict how this fight was going to play out, just because like, so much was up in the air. Like, would Conor Benn's sort of just wild, rough style work against a fighter who's just plain bigger than him, way bigger? And yes, I mean, that was a legit question. He answered that shit. Like, he got, and just how would Eubank respond? I mean, it was the way it's the kind of thing where they approached the fight like we thought they would, but we never could have predicted how well it would have worked out with both of them approaching it that way.
I know. I mean, it almost had a Canelo Kovalev flavor to it in that the smaller man was acting like the bigger puncher and the more dangerous guy, like the welterweight Ben, who kind of had to move up 2 weights, even though he fought the last 2 at 154, but didn't look spectacular. Is fighting reckless, but kind of a controlled reckless, a lot of head movement, but really just trying for like one big shot. And he's rocking and wobbling Eubank, who was like largely reduced to play the Kovalev role in that Canelo fight, just kind of jab, be the bigger man, and keep him on the outside. That shit shocked me. What would you say, though? Should we have seen that coming, considering Conor Benn was the one who fought contractually to get an 18-foot showbox-like style little closet ring? He said he was going to come out and do this. Nobody could have believed at this level. And even though I thought he rightfully lost 8-4 on all 3 scorecards, I probably scored it 9-3 real time in terms of remembering where I was. Or no, sorry, not 9-3, the other way. I even like 7-5. I thought it was that close. I thought Ben had rounds where he surged back. But like, you had to be shocked that he took on that demeanor and decided, fuck it. This will be the defining night of my life, win or lose. I'm fighting a guy 2 divisions bigger, and I'm not going to try to outbox him. I'm going to literally try to knock this guy out. And maybe with the rehydration clause, it was a good strategy. We didn't expect, right, Eubank Jr. to pull out an all-time performance.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's one of those things when you're watching fights, it's usually not even early in the fight. It's later in the fight when someone is behind on the score, on the cards. You'll hear Morrow or Lampley or Brian Campbell or whoever, one of these egghead announcers will say, look, his so-and-so's trainer has got to tell him it's time to sell out, go for broke, because you have no way of winning this fight. And that wasn't the case for Conor Benn. Like, I'm not saying he had no way of winning this fight, but sorry, let me slow down. When you hear the announcer say that it's time for so-and-so to go for broke, they never do. They should. They might make a couple little half steps towards it, but something happens. They get caught coming in, and then it's like they realize and the viewers realize that he can't go for broke, because if he does, he's just gonna get beat.
Yes.
All right.
Poppy,
Conor Benn went for broke from the opening bell to the final bell, almost without stopping or hesitating once. You do not see that kind of effort, that kind of performance. It's really rare, and I think it made the fight, because I think Eubank probably was prepared to box on the outside, to try and use his height and his size and do this. I mean, those things eventually won him the fight, but he probably thought it was going to be a lot less physical, a lot easier, a lot more on cruise control than it ended up being. Like, Conor Benn forced Eubank to find shit within himself that we never, that's been one of the big, I'd say, drawbacks or criticisms that has plagued Eubank throughout his career. He's a little too cool. He doesn't sort of rise to the moment in a lot of these fights, he wasn't able to summon that sort of go for broke spirit in his fight against George Groves, when he sort of got outclassed and outexperienced, and there've been those moments where it's like, how Eubank is athletic, he's talented, he throws he's got a few beautiful punches, but he can be outboxed, he can be out toughed, and we'd seen it happen.
He was the one who stuck to the game plan, made the adjustments, and rightfully surged down the stretch. The people want to know how you scored it. So I had it 7-5 Eubank. I really like that. This 2/3 into the fight when Ben had that huge push, I thought he came really close, but Eubank's the rightful winner. How did you score it?
I had 8-4, the same, pretty much. Basically, almost. I had it even through 10, and then the last 2 to Eubank.
All right. A quick aside from the people, because they're asking for it. I want to get you to weigh in here for Mr. Cunningham. If you're a fan of Rafe, does that make you a Rafist?
Sure. If you want to be a Rafist, you should.
Okay. DJ Serenity now believes you're a full-blown Rafist. If you are, you can be a Serial Rafist, and then Lazy Bed dropped my favorite Rafe nickname from the top rope, Statutory Rafe, but we don't really use that in 2025 too often. Okay, there you go, good stuff from the people right there. Wow, that's great. I don't know, like, I almost feel like Eubank winning almost doesn't matter. Like, it certainly matters to his career arc. Like, okay, the diatribe that I spit out earlier about the romanticism of both essentially having their career moment that has eluded them their whole life in the same fight against one another and because of one another. Do you buy into that? That maybe this wasn't a world title fight, but for the first time,
Were they fighting for the world title of each other?
Or of their families, of their dad's scrot sacks. But would you agree though that this fight made them both? It'll make them very rich, but it'll also kind of make them legends in their own way, despite how weird this fight was. Despite that, no one's talking about these guys. Eubank was 35 going nowhere. Ben has been this underachiever with drug issues, right? I mean, that's not crazy to say. They're almost like all-timers in my heart after this performance. You know what I mean?
This is absolutely a career-defining fight for those two at this point in their careers. I mean, Ben's career, he's got a lot more years ahead of him just because of his age, but it seems likely that this will remain that regardless, just because, how many all-time classics do you get? And if Ben has more fights like this with other fighters down the line, then that makes him like an all-time great action star in the ring, a kind of can't miss excitement fighter who wins some, lose some, but you don't give a fuck because it's Conor Benn. So I'd love if that were to happen. I don't know. That's kind of, and it's weird because, and this is, I don't want to rush us into this discussion, but there's this, the sort of question I've already heard bantered around on boxing podcasts and on the internet already of, immediate rematch or go away and come back, immediate rematch or go away and come back later on.
Yes.
And on one hand, it's like the immediate rematch does sound like, why wouldn't you? That this fight was fucking awesome. Get it while getting's good. Eubank is not young. But at the same time, I like coming out of that, I want to see what the fuck does Conor Benn look like against other fighters in his weight class? Can he bring that effort at 147 against fighters there? Can he bring that?
Can he make it?
Can he make it? I don't know. Yeah, maybe he's actually a junior middleweight now, but that's a better division. Makes
the play
it
is 47. To see him fight that ballsy, have that great of a chin against a middleweight, and really lean on his greatest strength. While not known as a one-punch knockout guy, his greatest strength, I think, is his athleticism, his explosiveness, and the fact that he can, come in with big combinations or a big right hand. So I'm of the same split where I'm like, I'm not sure which one I want better. Just to let you know the facts, Turkey said after the fight, he wants immediate rematch, same stadium in September. But you've got Eddie Hearn, the promoter of Ben, going, I actually don't want to see him get hurt, like in back-to-back-to-back fights, going for it. Let's let him go against his peers in his division. So since that fight, we've had Ryan Garcia responding to a question on Monday's media day about Ben, where he's like, dude, I would love to fight Ben in a stadium. You have to believe the royalty factor of what UK stadium fights are like has to appeal to Americans who really, we don't get that equivalent. We get a Jerry World fight, but it's never like crazy. It's never nuts. I'm down for this. I actually want both guys to get their biggest paydays next, not against each other, because that lottery ticket can be cashed. Not 5 years from now, next year, let's cash it in for a rematch, but let's let both go into fights against stars where they're definitely going to be the underdog, but we'll see how great they are. And for Ben, that could be Ryan Garcia, and he's come out and said, I'd love to fight him next. That could be Boots Ennis at 47. That could be Teofimo, could be a number of people. Let him get that chance. Show us, because he's only 28. So show us if you have a shot to be the best belt welterweight in the world, for example. And on the flip side, even though Canelo is freaking killing us by not going in the Benavidez direction and making all these excuses, I've never wanted Eubank Canelo more. I'm not saying it's the best Canelo fight you can make, but I think Chris deserves to get that payday, deserves to get that chance. And Canelo would take it. he thinks he's shit, right? He'll take that in a second.
Well, I did watch the word association game that Ring Magazine played with Canelo. And when they said Chris Eubank, he said, good fighter. So he's not shit. He's a good fighter.
Good fighter. But, you know, Big Red's only going to take the fight if he thinks he can stop him. And he probably would, right? Even though Eubank showed tremendous durability or willingness. I guess willingness.
Eubank is food for Canelo. I hate to say it, but he is.
Okay, but are you down with both of those guys? I mean, timeline-wise, obviously it doesn't work. Canelo's probably got Crawford next, but I wonder, you know, okay, maybe Eubank fights Canelo in the spring, and maybe Eubank and Ben do it up again next year. I feel like Eubank and Ben are heading to a trilogy anyway, but then again, that would dictate Ben winning the second one.
Yeah, no, I do prefer the route where they go their separate ways for a little while. You know, Ben gets to develop. I honestly, it's more so I can see what Conor Benn looks like in some serious welterweight action, because I think he would be so much fun there. It says that's a style, and and if that, you know, assuming his power still has an impact there. That sort of leaping in with those combinations, he's dangerous, but also vulnerable. And it would just be so much fun to see him around there. I see what you're saying, signature sounds, but that's at the moment, that's correct. But like BC was just saying, if Garcia is going to be at welterweight from now on, maybe Haney, right?
They all are. Haney,
right. So
Teo, come on, they're all moving.
It's going to open up. Yes, there's a 6-month period where it's kind of, you know, you're stuck choosing between Boots, who's going to fuck you up, whoever you are, or you know, Murtazal. No, he's at 154. Who's the guy? There's one like Russian and one and then
Fundora
Brian Norman
has 2 belts, but he's going to give one up.
No, that's 154. Well, I'm talking 147 right now.
147 is
Brian Norman, Boots.
Boots has 2 because he beat Staniosis. Brian Norman, and the other one is who is it?
Right, it's some Russian, right? It's not Murtazaliev, it's the other one.
Wait, why is this not? Oh, it's Mario Barrios.
Yeah, he sucks even more.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
Well, come on.
I mean,
who disagrees with that? Who disagrees with that? Stop. I don't care, man. I don't get to watch that on pay-per-view. Right, I might if I could. I only get to watch him fight, and that sucks every time.
No, his fight with Uncle Abel on the
right, because he's getting fucking taken to the clinic by guys who shouldn't be doing it anyway.
All right, we hit signature sounds. I wanted to ask you this nice question here. I think it's from Chinese Canelo. That no rehydration clause for the rematch. How much is the way this fight played out and the competitiveness that Ben showed because of the rehydration clause in your eyes?
I think it played a big factor. Also, just making weight. That cut obviously didn't, Eubank didn't make weight. He missed it by just, 0.2 pounds.
Yes.
And it clearly seemed to be trying pretty hard to make it, so you don't take too much away from him with that. But I guess the question for how to approach it in the next fight, and I guess what I read has been, or at least what's been reported, is that contractually, at the moment at least, all the terms would be the same for a rematch. So he would, unless they renegotiate, the rehydration clause would be there. I would like to see it being I don't know. I mean, that's another reason, I guess, for them to go away for a little bit, because maybe Ben grows into a higher weight class a little more, or is just a little more comfortable at a higher weight, and maybe Eubank doesn't have to come back down quite as hard for the next fight. But I guess if look, the other way to look at that for Conor Benn is, let's go away for a little while, come back. You're going to be older, have an even harder time making this weight, and we'll do it at that weight, and I'll get this win. And then you'll be drained. You won't be able to take punches. All of the issues that showed up in the first fight, where where Eubank looked gassed at times, where he was being smart about taking time off in rounds, but still needed to take time off in rounds, was forced into this high paced sort of fight of his life when he wasn't because of the weight, couldn't be in the sort of condition to sustain that in the best possible way. And again, credit to him for still winning the fight despite all that. But all of those issues could become magnified in a rematch if they are the same, if the terms are the same. So maybe Ben wants to keep it that way to see. In my head, on some level, I would like to see whatever compromise they can come up with between these two guys who are not the same size to meet at a weight that allows them to both be their best or close to it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. What's ideal there?
I don't know. And that's part
Canelo
of the
weight
pressure.
somewhere, 163.
That's part of the pressure of, do you run it back now, knowing that they're not going to be close in weight for a while again, probably. So is it just easier to run it back now with a rehydration clause, or maybe a smaller one, or maybe none at all because Eubank won? Or are you imagining that Ben will eventually settle at 54 anyway? So even if Eubank goes up to 68 to fight Canelo, it's not impossible for him to get back to 60 and maybe, I don't know. I don't know the answer, but damn, did they give into that 12th round was just, I mean, it was a Rocky movie. The 12th round was a Rocky movie. That's just unbelievable. Wow. All right, Rafe, what a fight. Oh, and Liam Smith, Beefy got beefed up 12-0, I thought, on that.
I think he should finish. Beefy, I think he should.
Holy crap. Yeah, that was not looking good.
But shout out to the McKenna kid. Like, that was a fighter who I'd sort of written off just because he'd been on the Joey Spencer circuit for too long. Like, or the Xander Zayas circuit. Look, all you prospects in it, that's sort of like the modern era of boxing fandom curse that maybe I should adjust to and not them. But like, we start hearing about these prospects from their first pro fight, and you see, and then you have to endure 5-6 years of them not having any meaningful fights. So you're like, well, I don't care. That guy probably isn't legit if he hasn't stepped up yet. McKenna kind of, this was a step up for him, and he looked really good in it. He looked like he could be a real player at 160 pounds. Like, throw him in the mix. Get in there, boy.
Yeah, he looked good in there. I'm sure there were other blokes that we could talk about, but we have so much to get into for this weekend coming up. Before we do, though, I do want to hit you with that news at 154. I also want to ask you regarding the USB.
A message to Brian Campbell. Do not ask me what is on the USB stick.
Do you think ultimately there were Hayden nudes on there?
On mine or on
Vlad?
Oh, on Vlad.
So into the robe,
That would be a good way to pump up the price,
And imagine if his prediction was, "I get sent to hell." Imagine if that we should whoever won that, right?
Hold on, Vlad didn't get sent to hell.
No.
Right?
Actually, he fought his most courageous performance.
He should have. He could have ended AJ, not ended AJ's career, but he could have sent AJ to hell right there if Italy wasn't in the corner telling him to take his foot off the gas after that knockdown in the 5th round. Vlad says that too, I think. Yeah, fuck the mayor, man.
We blame Jonathan Banks in some way.
I blame Jonathan Banks for everything. Look, that
Who
guy
was he training on Saturday.
He was training Eubank, but I don't think he helped. I get worried anytime I see him in the corner.
Me too.
Doing he's way too cool. All the dulcet tones. He never no urgency. Always just like, hey champ, you gotta jab more. You gotta jab more.
What was the first fight Triple G had with him? When did the breakup with
Steve Rolls?
What was that?
Steve Rolls. Yeah.
So was Danny Jacobs before or after that?
Oh, it was before.
All right.
Yeah, Abel had Triple G through Jacobs and the 2 Canelo fights.
And then and then Triple G didn't want to share the Canelo wealth, which is the same move Spence pulled on Derek James after the Bud fight. It's like, I know we had a percentage in the past, but that's too much money.
That is not crazy. I mean, like, it's the same reason like NBA agents are not taking 10% of their athletes' contracts. They're taking 1% because it's still in the fucking millions.
Yeah, you're right.
Like I feel like while I don't know what terms they, in both cases with Derek James and Errol Spence and Triple G and Abel, they disagreed upon. But the idea that when I was making, 6-figure purses or low million purses, I would give you 5% or 10% is one thing. Now you're getting more money at 2% or 1%. Like, come on, guys. Like the fighters are the ones in the ring. They're the ones who get fucked in the end.
Tell
Give
that
me a
to
break.
Suleiman. He's taking percentages all the time.
Well,
all right?
that is
At least
how
he'll give you the Azteca belt to take home and put on your mantle. Let's talk about that 54 news. I want to really find out from you. Is this the right move for boxing? Is this the right move for PBC's health? When this summer, PBC appears to have holds in Las Vegas for pay-per-views on July 19th and August 16th. One is rumored to be, of course, the Roach Tank rematch that we need to see. And the other one, it looks like it's possibly not going to be Manny Pacquiao, Mario Barrios. And it's also not going to be Keith Thurman because Tim Tszyu going to come to Las Vegas and rematch Sebastian Fundora. To get that, though, Fundora had to give up the WBO belt. That was a mandatory challenge against Xander Zayas. And here's my small issue with this, Rafe, is that was set to go to purse bid, which would tell you that this whole fanfare and the excitement I had that Top Rank and PBC were going to be like buddies and co-promoters. Not only did they not come to a deal, but before it went to a purse bid, Samson and PBC is like, yeah, we're going to switch course. So they're going to give up the belt. Zayas is going to fight against the guy's name that I forgot for on a Top Rank card. But we do get Tszyu Fundora too. I'm not sure we ever really needed Thurman Tszyu. Like, this is probably the right move. But for all parties involved, including the fact that this makes it look like this Top Rank PBC partnership is not a partnership, are you happy with the result and the pivot here from PBC?
I had not thought that deeply about what it means about the Top Rank and PBC relationship. I see what you're saying. It also could be the way they wanted it to work out. They hoped it would work out all along because there's nothing Top Rank loves more than a vacant belt. Set that shit up. Oh, we got the guy who's going to win and a guy who's going to fight for the belt. And
we got Ray Beltran. Let's go. Yeah.
Ray Beltran still waiting for his visa. I hope not. Shit, man. I hope you got it by now, Ray, because they're coming.
They're coming for you. Yeah,
coming for everybody, man.
Yeah,
fucking send my ass too.
You go back to Manila.
Like, you learned another language? Get the fuck out of this country, motherfucker.
Oh, you live in New York, Cubao now.
Why are you wearing that hat for?
Yeah, all right.
Go on there.
Let's go.
We found you a nice place. Anyway, so I didn't think about that side of it that much, but I don't know. It's good. Like I guess it means that Tim Tszyu is serious about contending again. He actually, that despite the setbacks between the Fundora loss, which I think we were all pretty willing to give it, like, not hold against him because of the circumstances of the fight. He chose to fight through that insane cut, all of that, it turned into a great event.
Yeah, the way he behaved, as Teddy would say. It was
behave like a champion. He acted like a fighter. You gotta respect that.
Put some bugs on the windshield. Get some water in the basement.
Sometimes I put a little water up the basement as an enema, and then it all comes out. You know what I'm saying?
Against who? Okay.
I'll empty my bowels against anyone.
Let's go over to Sal.
I had talked myself into this Keith Thurman thing. I'm disappointed that I'm not getting. I watched him go beat up that fucking underwear model in Australia.
Oh, Eric Nice from The Real World.
That's what did you see in the locker room before that fight? Brooke Jarvis he's wearing some, like, tight, they're not whiteys, but they were black little briefs, like classic Mark Wahlberg style.
I was gonna say Marky Mark style. Yeah.
I mean, his abs look good, man. You got to give him credit. Then he got sent to hell.
Should have got up at 4 a.m. like Marky Mark.
I was into the Keith Thurman comeback story. I'm kind of disappointed that it gets derailed. Who does Keith get to fight now? Can he fight Barrios? Can he fight Manny in a rematch? Because I know you would be down for that.
Oh my God, I would be down for that. It feels like, Barrios, seriously, if Manny is going to fight a real fight, Barrios is probably the most the best.
It's fucking tailor-made. Saturday, it's
right.
ready to go.
I don't think he'd win it, but
he might. I'd talk myself into that for sure.
I mean, what would make sense? Like a Danny Garcia rematch or no? A Sean Porter rematch or no? Like, we're not going into the past, right?
I don't think so. Those guys aren't coming out of retirement.
Right. So what would you do with Thurman? Is there a I mean, there's like wash crimes you could commit with like him and J-Rock or whatever, but it's not.
He could fight Lara for a belt.
He could move up to middleweight. Imagine if they did that. They would do that, and I'd call that shit. And I'd love it. Too.
I mean, Lara is the same size as Thurman. I don't know, like he just at middleweight because there was a path, right? I mean, I guess Cornflake is out there. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. Ernest, I feel you. Keith went all the way out there, danced through a sad ass, gym corridor for his ring walk, right? And then sent that guy to hell. And he does not. Can he at least fight the stripper? Can we give him Zarafa?
That's good. Or, dude, can we get Jeff? I mean, Jeff Horn was a real man. Right?
Jeff Horn still got balls. He's probably like 300 pounds at this point. He's bigger than Joe. But if he can get down to 147 and 154 and Glenn Rushton is there to train him, yes, it's good.
Well, could they even do Thurman Pacquiao too? Like maybe it would have to be like a.
Why not? You could do Manny versus Manny is at the top of the card.
Yeah, I mean, I never believed those rumors anyway because people were talking about it being a non.
I also think it's a little bit suspect.
Yeah. We'll find out how Emmanuel does in the election and also in my dreams from years of Showtime watching that great series. If you know what I'm talking about, right? Before we get into this absolutely loaded weekend to come, Rafe, if you don't mind, since I've now figured out how to share the screen on this great platform, I would love to share a bit of your Bake Kong experience from that time you were on Pablo Torre where he brought it up, because I feel like we referenced it a lot, but the people, they deserve to actually see it, correct?
We can do a full breakdown someday. I do have the video.
Okay, then I will take you up on that offer. So for now, let's go to you on Pablo Torre. And here we go. I think, yeah, I figured it out. It's all good. Look at this. Look at this stash.
Not good.
Look at this stash.
I don't love this. I feel pretty fat.
Father of an important character in a show that came out in 2007.
Titled
Bakekang.
Which means
That is it.
It was her name, the main character's name. It is an extremely offensive premise for a soap opera about a woman who, by local beauty standards, is not attractive. And resolves to improve her lot in life and have rich kids by finding foreign men.
Such as Brad.
Unfortunately, yeah. I was Brad, the almost prototypical ugly American.
Do you remember any of your lines?
Get away from me with this baby. I will kill you.
Now get out of here and don't ever come back. If you do, I'll kill you.
You're not a child.
Oh, God. Oh my God. All right, we're almost here.
Did that shut down the entire show? Is that the end of everything because of Bakekang?
No, because of that ad, I got screwed up, and it was a good time to. That's just a taste. That's just a sampling.
I
Rafe,
do have my full appearances.
Dude, that was. What was the line you told that B?
Whatever I said in there, I forget it. Well, if you come back, don't ever come back. If you do, I will kill you.
Okay, all right. Wow.
And also, so one of the funny stories about that. So this is one of the. So they wanted a foreigner for that role for Brad. Makes sense, right? However, they thought that my hair was obviously a lot shorter back then. But it still looked too light. And they're like, well, we want you to be foreign, but maybe we could make you look a little more mestizo, like as if I were part Filipino.
Dude, did you consider going blackface like the movie Soul Man or no?
Thank God that they didn't offer that
option
to me. Or, I mean, they might have just forced me to if they thought it was a good idea. Thank God that was not it. However, they also, but what they decided to do was they bought like a dozen sachets of cream silk black shampoo and just rubbed it into my hair so that in that scene, like my head just looks darker than normal for some reason. It's basically like, now you would just spray like Beijing up there, but this was our best version at the moment. So it was it was a wild experience. I am ultimately probably glad I did it, but still sort of regret aspects of it because it was a pretty I don't know. I was a pretty odious character.
It was a very hilariously odious character,
But
especially.
the acting was great, yo. You got to give me that.
I'm like, I don't know if you were acting that. Were you a Brad back in those days? I mean, we all did things we regret, to be fair.
I guess I should be happy that acting like that was so unnatural for me. You can see I'm a good guy.
And you are. Yes, you are. I think that we should do a special series where we break down our old greatest hits. I have the episode of me at age 22 being on the ESPN sports trivia show with Kenny Mayne, the 2-minute drill.
No kidding.
I've been sitting on that for a while. Unfortunately, my friend Alex's mother died, but she left a box of VHS tapes, and one of them was a great copy of it because I had a copy, but the power went out in my town that night, so no one got to record it when it aired. But my sister recorded it with no volume, where you can barely hear it. So I have a working version now. And also, people don't know you hosted a few CNN shows and
yes, yeah. Right? Look, those are pretty good. There's some good stuff.
You're like the Anthony Bourdain of Filipino basketball, right?
That was sort of the idea, yeah. If it worked out, then it worked out.
All right. It's so good, right? It's so good. Oh, not that one. How about in the last 3 minutes we've seen 3 eras of Rafe: thin soap opera boy band Rafe, thick supple PTFO Rafe, and current mustachioed Lothario Rafe. You ain't no Valentino. Yeah.
I'm a Lothario Argentino.
There it is. Great stuff right there. I'm so happy that Pablo Torre not only brought that stuff out, but he led the episode with it.
You got to lead with the best stuff.
Did he shock you with that?
No. I had to give it to him. Like they asked me for it after we recorded the interview part of the episode. Like, so do you have it? And I was like, all right, I will take that out of I was the one who uploaded all that shit to YouTube.
Okay.
And then as I started to get paying jobs, then I decided to put it all on private. So I have the ability to leak parts of it, but no one else.
Well, speaking of your privates, is Hernus correct here? I mean, just for the record, all right.
I was nothing like the kind of foreigner that people expect.
Billy Ray Bates
to act like.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. Thankfully, he's alive and well. All right. Don't believe Charles.
Yeah. Great stuff. Okay. Let's talk about this weekend. In totality first. 3 cards that Turkey has some form of involvement in. Obviously, Friday, Times Square, it's the Ring Magazine series he's paying for out of his own pocket. I don't know if he's getting money too from Sella or the Nation, or I don't know how that works. But that's a big deal. Saturday.
The Nation? The Nation of Islam? I don't think
the Nation of Domination. No, the Nation of Saudi Arabia. I meant. I didn't mean.
I bet. Yes, that's where the money's coming. The money in his pocket comes from that nation, the kingdom as well. It's all anyway. Yeah.
Saturday is basically the equivalent of a Riyadh Cizan Saudi Arabian card in Riyadh in front of 6,000 with Canelo. Sunday is in a way on ESPN Plus in Vegas, but it is that's a Ring Magazine ambassador, right? So Turkey's involved in this in some form. The whole point is what I want to ask you this. Part of me is as a boxing fan, I'm overjoyed that Cinco de Mayo is normally the big boxing weekend where we get the big pay-per-view fight. This is 3 cards in 3 nights. So part of me is F the things you can quibble about. Turkey is working with a bunch of different promoters, and we are getting, I don't want to say a bunch of badass fights because really the badass part of it lies on Friday, but we're getting really big stars, unique locations, 3 nights of boxing. But then there's that other half of me that is cranky or naturally not fearful, but naturally nervous about what Turkey's really up to and all this, all the changes in boxing is how good is this actually for boxing when it's 3 pay-per-views on DAZN in 8 days? Canelo and Inoue are fighting guys most people haven't heard of, and Canelo's fighting not in the U.S. in front of 6,000. And in totality, none of these fights are really being presented to the casual audience in ways that they could stumble into it. They're either airing on the niche DAZN app that only boxing fans have, or it's Sunday night 10 p.m.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yeah, or it's 10 p.m. Eastern Sunday night on ESPN Plus, right? Which is an awkward time.
Boxing fans don't have that either.
Where are you falling on that? Is this a great weekend for boxing? Is this a weekend to praise Turkey? Or is all of the complaints, the fact that nobody cares about this Canelo fight, does all that overshadow whatever good is being brought to the sport?
I don't think it is a great weekend for boxing. I do think it is a great weekend of boxing. And as a boxing fan, like, shout out to turkey. I'm eating it up. I'm pouring gravy on this turkey and slurping that shit down. Thank you. All right. Especially Friday night, which, I mean, that card is fantastic. I mean, I want to see all, the three main fights. I'm excited about each of them in different ways. It's a cool card. And I don't even give a fuck about the Times Square part of it, or like whatever the interesting location things that they're doing. That's cool. But I'm there. I'm talking about the fights. Let's do it. And then, the other after, so we're starting on Friday with just an awesome card. Then the rest is all, I hate to come back to turkey language, it's all gravy from there, right? So do I care about Canelo versus Skull? No, I don't. You can ask
care
me
about their
later.
people or their
I
families?
still don't. Not really. But I care, I'm a little bit interested in the that cruiserweight undercard thing after what's his name? Noel Mikhalian stepped in for Ryan Rozicki and will be facing our man Ripper Badu Jack. Like that, yeah, it's cruiserweights. I'm always down, and this could turn out to be something cool. There's enough there. Something will surprise us the rest of the weekend that gets us pumped up again, whether it's one of the main event fights or one of the undercard fights. I think it's a great weekend as a boxing fan. Is it great for boxing? Probably not, because nobody's going to watch probably any of these fights, unfortunately. But I don't know if there's any way to fix that. Like, nobody watches anything anymore. Nobody pays attention to shit. All the numbers of viewership are down across the board. They're just going to get lower unless it's the NFL. You can, other than a giant Netflix event, an occasional enormous pay-per-view like a Wilder Fury of Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather, that's one person, Mayweather Pacquiao event. Like, other than that, and boxing can still capture. I think that Crawford versus Canelo will be that kind of event that crosses over, that really captures the attention of multiple U.S. audiences and the worldwide audience. So we can still do that, but this isn't that weekend. This is for the fans. This is and there's
I don't
not a
know
lot
if
to
this is
complain
for the
about.
fans. Like, is it for the fans if they can attend on Friday? Even though I'm in full support of doing the Times Square thing, I think it's so cool, unique. But like, they can't attend on Friday. On Saturday, you pulled Canelo, the biggest U.S. draw. It's really against anybody. The Munguia and Berlanga fights brought huge gate. They brought decent pay-per-view buys, even though those weren't our preferred fights. Now you're pushing him away, and like Inoue being buried on a late Sunday night, like that's not necessarily it, even though that might not have been Turkey's, decision-making or dealing at all. Do you think Turkey's missing? Like, it might not matter to him because Turkey's goals don't seem to actually be to raise the sport or lift American boxing, right? His goals are about sports washing, his country, and becoming the power player in boxing. But I feel like if he maybe understood the American TV market better or the opportunity at stake, if you're already going to take a big L on Friday, you got to pay Ryan, you got to pay Teo. Like, this is a big purse.
This is not an L. He knows what he's spending. I don't think it's taking an L.
Okay, so if you're already set to take a monster loss financially, but you're trying to swagger, you're trying to show what you can do. Am I wrong to say DAZN pay-per-view is the worst spot for this, and a time buy on network TV may have been the best thing you could have done for boxing this weekend? Because that's such a unique card, and it's got some of the biggest young stars in this game. It's got heated rivalries built in. Like, that's a CBS Saturday night, like, primetime show right there.
That's a very good point. I don't know if they considered that. I don't know. Look, there is sort of an interesting or a good criticism of what Turkey is doing is that while it is leading to great fights that boxing fans adore and have waited to see and get and are now, you know, living through a mini little, you know, one of these little mini golden eras of great fights won out like on a regular basis. And the people who already cared and who know how to find it wherever it is are really enjoying their life as boxing fans right now. But what he doesn't seem to have much or I mean, arguably any sense of is how to actually reach a wider audience with it, how to, you know, and look, certain fights like the Bivol Beterbiev ones, maybe they were never going to be huge events, but they could have done better than 36,000, you know, pay-per-view buys in the United States. Like, that's pretty shitty. And if that has been corrected since then, tell me what it is, but that's what I remember reading. In any case, like he seems to not be paying attention to getting the biggest audience for these fights, especially in the United States. And that's a flaw. I mean, would it be cooler if we could expect these, you know, the you know, Garcia, Rolly fight, that entire card to be on a platform other than DAZN, which by now is pretty moribund in the United States because there's not much left for it for US fans. You know, would it be better if there were other ways to access the fight? Yes. But at the end of the day, I know how to get these fights. I ain't going to any of these fights. I'm looking to see these fights for as little money as I need to spend.
You're the hardcore. You're not a regular fan.
I'm speaking for myself. Anyone else, if you want to ask me how to see these fights, I can help you find them. If you want to watch them on DAZN, I can help you do that. If you want to attend them,
Metabolife. Yes,
if you want to attend them in Times Square, maybe I can find a building that you could look down on them from. But other than that, like, I'm not trying to splash money going to Vegas for any of these fights, or certainly not to Riyadh, nor even home to New York, because I couldn't see the fight even if I went home. It's, you know, I'm just going to watch these fights on my computer and enjoy them, and it's going to be a good weekend of boxing.
All right. Well, I was talking about the casuals, and maybe this doesn't matter as much once TKO launches. And if it's true, the rumors that TKO with Saudi money will be doing 2 to 4 Netflix like super pay-per-views per year, starting with Canelo Bud, then in reality, for all we know, Haney Garcia 2 could be one of those, or, you know, any of these machinations where that will ultimately give them the type of casual rub that you would think they should be after. Maybe now before the TKO turn, it's just, we committed to these things. We're going to spend a lot of money. We're going to flex our ring muscles, but unfortunately no one's going to see it. So that was my big issue. But Friday night's card, as you have already established, is awesome. It's badass. I hope it doesn't rain. I really do. I hope the weather holds up perfectly. I know it's a weird setup where there's not going to be like real fans there, but these are 3 fights that matter. There's an overflow of personalities involved here. I can play a couple clips from a wild ass presser yesterday. Did you see this, Rafe? Did you see the presser?
I ain't watched pressers, man.
Okay. It got a little weird. All right. Let's see the jawing here between your boy Rye Guy and also the Haney family. Let's see if I can figure this out quickly. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm on fire.
Workouts. What was said between you and him at the open workouts?
You know, he was coming at my physique, but it's all good. You know, they were saying the same thing last time, and they got their ass whooped last time too.
That motherfucker
ass whooped again. And you better
be careful. Don't even sound the same.
I know Jose got that left hook too.
Jose got out that oscillator. He don't even sound the same.
We never hear talk because you don't do shit.
Your physique
you can't talk. You got
titties now.
You can't talk.
No muscles. Those muscles gone. His voice is gone.
Hey, look at that. Hey,
talk that shit. This motherfucker's gone.
And you can't train that. You can't train that jaw. You gonna get fucked up.
Oh my god.
All I say is,
Bill, what was said yesterday?
What the hell?
Gavin needed his daddy here.
Happened to Ryan Garcia? This is not the same Ryan.
Oh, he about to lose it
at all.
No.
I got multiple personalities, bitch.
Listen, everyone. This is going to be.
And you don't want to see the crazy one.
Wait.
You want to see RJ?
Oh no.
I'm not
RG.
You're the biggest bitch out of all of them. You a big.
So that was a great.
Hello.
We back? Oh yeah. Hello, my fans. So that was a little piece of it. Do you think it's gone too far on the Ryan versus Devin side.
Hell yes,
considering-
yeah. Why the fuck is that? Like,
Well,
did
considering
you watch?
Turkey put out that commercial, did you see that movie trailer?
Yeah, it's
commercial?
dumb as fuck. Why?
I thought it was awesome, but like Rolly's not even in it. So was it?
Yeah, no, it's not awesome. It's like it's. Why am I watching that thing? I want to see the 3 fights on Friday night. I'm honestly as excited for them as I would be for Garcia, Haney too. And those are all worth building up. Teo is a crazy ass character, as we all know.
Yeah.
But like you could have done a lot more with him. I thought that. I mean, for me at least, I was like, why is this all about, Haney versus Garcia too, when they are, that is not the fight that's occurring. And it just assumes that like the people tuning into this event, again, this goes back to completely freezing out the casual fan who probably, if they found a way to watch this, would enjoy it. These fights are going to have action. They have a lot of talent. It's going to be good. But if you just saw this commercial that they ran for the trailer thing, it's like, well, you're not even telling me until the very end, 2.5 minutes in, who's fighting on Friday night. And if I watched the first 2.5 minutes of this thing and I didn't know what the fight was already about, I would think that it was between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Instead, they aren't fighting on Friday night. And as a casual fan, I'm like, well, why am I supposed to watch this if the guys I want to see fight will fight again down the line? I didn't think it was an effective ad. I think it's kind of foolish at the press conference to lean so hard into that rivalry when, again, that they aren't the people who are fighting on Friday night. And I don't think that I think they're likely to win.
Traditionalism, but they'll fight each other whether one loses anyway. Don't you believe that?
Yeah, I think that's true. But it's just sort of like, I guess for me, I'm interested in the fights that are the matchups that are occurring on Friday night. And I don't know, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney have already proven that they're not that creative or fun when they're trying to shit talk each other. They just kind of repeat the same things. They don't exactly have the gift of gab. This is not Tony Harrison, right? This ain't Berto. This ain't
Jorge Cota.
This ain't Jorge Cota. So to me, it's just it's not, I don't know, it doesn't come off well, but it's fine. I'm still looking forward to it.
I'm not mad that they're
Does Ryan have titties now? Is there some truth to that?
Bill Haney has accused him of looking softer. He's not as muscular and ripped as he was the Haney fight a year ago. Some people are saying because he's not on Osterine this time.
Yeah, might be.
He's just saying a lot has changed in his life, physically, mentally, spiritually. So he's a different person. He's also a welterweight now. I wasn't overly impressed with his physique, but I'm also trying not to be a #body, what a beauty guy either. But I love the back and forth. Dude, Oscar almost got into it. Bill Haney, they had to hold Oscar back. Wade Clemens, that host, had to come over and body Oscar back. It was like, I think, well done in terms of being completely ridiculous, but also kind of get me fired up. And I actually like that Turkey has committed almost a gratuitous amount of press conferences and sit down Kate to Kate type shows that have really, like, where these guys are just sick of talking to each other about one another. I like the return to that. Remember, I hosted that absolutely ridiculous Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal tour last year. The thing was a shit show. It was off the rails, but yet it produced like real venom that turned into a great fight night. So, it still works if you're going to gratuitously run guys out there and make them play into the headlines like that. So I was fine. Let's look at Rolly Ryan now, and let's look at Rolly being the soft, witty, dry, comedic genius that we all absolutely know he is, including this performance in DAZN Kate to Kate that we can get.
That sounds like you're in love with me. Are you in love with me?
Oh, hold on. We'll go back.
Yeah,
dude, I already know this. I know this. I know you better than you know you at this point.
Yeah, man.
I know everything about you, and you know that. And aside from that,
I don't. I don't know that.
Yeah, you do.
Why would I know? How?
I know
Makes
everything
no sense.
about you.
Everything.
I truly do.
That sounds like you're in love with me. Are you in love with me?
No.
You know me better than I know myself. That's weird, bro.
I'm not
That's
in love.
weird.
I'm not in love with you,
bro.
I
That's
promise
weird.
You, I ain't in love
Are you
with
breaking
you.
up with me? That's
See,
weird.
I'll tell you like this though. Like if I
You're
didn't
weird,
go that
bro.
way,
I ain't gonna lie.
maybe,
You're
but
weird.
I don't-
That's weird, bro.
You're not my type, bro.
Bro, all right, this game weird.
You're not my type.
This.
I think we're back. We're almost back. We're almost there. Sorry. I'm learning it on the fly. Great stuff right there. Todd Grisham hosting the DAZN Kate to Kate episode.
That looked like Chris Mannix to me. I don't know.
Was it? No,
Yeah,
Todd Grisham.
that was Mannix, bro.
Oh, sorry about that, TG. By the way, DAZN being forced to like go deep down their roster this weekend since they have, you know, huge shows on back to back. We get some Cigar Lady at the Canelo. Dude, that Canelo grand arrival. I don't mean to rip on Riyadh. There was 8 people there. There really was. It's just the 6,000 arena for Canelo. Like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the vibes there. I'm really starting to hate that part. But let's talk about what matters. Times Square main event. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero. It will be at 140 pounds. And as we speak right now, I'm not sure how much you care about odds, Rafe. I don't know if you're a gambling man, but they got Ryan Garcia on DraftKings minus 1,100 to the plus 650 Rolly. As we know them, as we know the limitations of Rolly, but remember, he's fighting at 47. He says the weight cuts to 35 and 40 used to absolutely kill him. And I will give him that in the Pitbull fight. He had no punch resistance. He was a shell of himself. He'll bring the puncher's chance to a raw guy who hasn't fought in a year, but seems to be back mentally and physically in a safe place. Derek James in his corner. The training videos have looked great. Are these odds representative with a 11-1 favorite Garcia of what we should expect Saturday, where we know we're going to be entertained? We just don't know if it's going to be competitive.
I think that Ryan should be a comfortable favorite in this. However, to me, Garcia is not a consistent enough performer or someone who I believe enough in fight in and fight out to ever sort of be that big of a favorite in a at least remotely competitive fight, which I think this is just about there. Rolly hasn't looked good recently. He's never really been good.
But a bad 4-fight skid of not looking good.
Yeah. But he's still, I consider him live, and you kind of, at least if he comes in as in shape and strong and confident, what he can do and get awkward and throw some hard punches. And the thing is with Garcia, I don't trust him enough to make him that big of a favorite in anything. I think that he should be like as much as a minus 500 favorite. So a big favorite in what you would consider a headlining fight on a big card like this. Usually
monster favorite.
Yeah. So to me, it's, he's a clear favorite. I think to the extent that I don't think he deserves to be that big of a favorite, it really just has to do with not trusting that guy. Like, I don't think that I would ever, like Mr. Cunningham is saying, I don't know if I'd make Ryan Garcia a minus 1,100 favorite against like nobody in the ring. Like there's a chance that he does something to to just fuck up the whole thing. So that's all.
All right. The question, I'm trying to figure out I thought the questions there's certainly questions Ryan has to answer. The year off, are you the same potentially off the drugs? I mean, all that stuff. It was that performance against Haney an aberration due to the ridiculous confidence and swagger and forward power punching balls that he brought in. Is that who he is from now on? Because remember, against Tank, he came out too reckless, then he got instantly disciplined, and then he was just lost, and he eventually quit with the rib injury on the knockdown. I don't know if I really actually don't have that many questions about Ryan. I think he may actually look the best he ever has because of how traumatic last year was. And now he seems to at least be back, went through the scare of almost losing everything, self-implosion, but almost losing everything, mom going through cancer, all that stuff. And now he's back doing what he loves in a position to be in like one really big fight after another. I think he's going to be fine. My questions are, is Rolly going to completely overachieve because he's not doing the hard weight cuts and because he does have the power that can discipline? Or is that crazy because we'll never find out because his defense is not going to be quick enough to pick up Ryan's left hook?
I mean, Rolly is sort of could make this a good fight. I think a little bit in the way that maybe Ben made the Eubank fight last weekend great. It's just, if he comes in sort of balls out and is just throwing wild ass punches that are awkward and take a few rounds for even good boxers to pick up, right? I mean, that was like even Tank took like 5 rounds to really figure out how to time him coming in, and then it was immediately over at that point. But it's still like he's live at the beginning of these fights when he's coming in with a head of steam, throwing hard punches. He's sort of all over the ring. He smothers he smothers himself, then he's jumping out and making space. Like there's a wild card factor to the way he fights when he fights. I don't know if I would call it well, but when he fights towards the best of his abilities.
Yes.
So there's an element of chance there. And again, I guess to me, Ryan is unproven because we like the only really good night of his career was the night that he was on Ostarine and boozed up and God knows what else, right? Right. He's doing lines before the fight. I don't know what's up with him. So his talent is unbelievable, right? It's legit. I don't question Ryan Garcia's talent, but his ability to perform well and execute a game plan throughout a full 12-round fight, or until he gets a stoppage against fighters who are in there to win, that's something that I still don't think we've really seen. I guess when he beat your cousin Luke that one time, but other than that, it's not like Ryan Garcia has great wins on his record. Like his opportunity to fight Haney was the step up. And he looked good, but there are all these other reasons to question that. Sure. Mostly being that it had to be ruled a no contest because he was cheating going into it. So I still want to see what, I think he still has a lot to prove.
They both have a lot to prove. This is, though, of the 3 fights, would you agree, the most sure thing? The most sure thing that whether Ryan looks good or bad, he's probably going to knock Rolly out.
Or at least win. Like, he doesn't even need to. I think he will, but even if he doesn't, he wins, right? Both because he's the one who matters going forward, and because it's hard. Like, how the hell does Rolly win fights on the scorecard? I mean, I guess he does when they're PBC cards, but he's
his 2 biggest wins both came in jobber decisions that he had no rightful way of.
Well, then a jobber stoppage as well.
Yeah, so it was Jackson Mariñez, and then it was Ishmael Barbosa, both just BS endings. Yeah, good call right there. It's the best bet here. I'm just wondering, like, Rolly has to realize that to truly be the Mayorga of your era, or even the Maidana of your era, you still have to win.
He's not close to either of those guys.
Right. So to be that, you still have to win against some B+, A- guys every once in a while, and then we'll give you the latitude to lose to a big name, come back and bounce back against some jobbers, and then get back in the mix again,
Yes, it's true.
But he just fought a no-name in Manuel Jaimes last time, and he looked like shit. I don't know if the coach, the pocket rocket, Ishmael Salas, who's a crafty gentleman, I don't think that's the right trainer.
He's another trainer. Who has Ishmael Salas ever improved? He's another kiss of death. Him and Jonathan Banks, completely different. They come from completely different schools of boxing, right? But I at this point in time, Ishmael Salas's record with these fighters he takes on, who are trying to improve or whatever, is so bad that I would believe it if they're like someone exposes that he's not Cuban and actually never trained boxing before and just showed up one day. It's like, hi, I'm from Cuba and I have this stick that I
have platform sneakers from Joe Rogan. Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck is up with him, but yeah, I don't think it helps. I don't think he's going to help. Like, he didn't help. Did AJ train with Salas, or who was it? No, Joyce did. And he was, oh my God.
Yeah, but Freddie went through that run too when he became a famous trainer, and then everybody signed up with him and no one did good. Virgil Hunter, the Careless Whisperer, who did he improve outside of Ward? Maybe Berto for a day? I don't know. But I'm just thinking, go back to Bullet. Go back to that hard-ass dude that took you to your first run at the top. Go back to a guy who's literally training you to just instill violence on the opponents. Don't worry about winning rounds because it's not your skill set. Go out, be physical, be dirty, be a menace. Be that dude.
Yeah, why? Has he been trying to box in those recent fights against no names? I mean,
it's hard to tell because he got so overwhelmed by Pitbull and just didn't have any punch resistance. And then I thought he fought well against Tank before he got KO'd. And Tank even admitted that, like, the power, even on jabs, was like making him nervous. Like, Rolly came out jacked up and
I thought
ready.
it was a decent version of Rolly. I mean, like credible at least, you know, that like you saw why he is dangerous if why he has the puncher's chance, which almost never, anytime you say someone has a puncher's chance, it really means they have no chance. But there are punchers out there who do win fights with heavy hands. It's just these guys are so
Foreman.
bad they never do.
Yeah, it happens when it's George Foreman, but this ain't George Foreman. Are you of the belief though that this is the end of the run for Rolly being the B-side in like pay-per-view main events?
Oh, it's probably not the end because you just laid out the formula for him to come back if he loses this fight. He, you know, eat a couple of pies. He doesn't even have to look good. They just need to be on the record, right? 2-3 wins on lower cards, and then someone will be interested in that name again. He's not old. It'll be hard to make the call for when he's like washed because he's never been good, right? The downfall is never really going to occur. He's just been bad steady the whole way through.
I mean, dude, he got outboxed in circles by Jackson Mariñez in that 135.
That was pretty early in the Rolly experience.
And then Barbosa was giving it to him too. So, damn.
I did like that moment in the Ryan Garcia face-off when he was like, "Oh, you mean Grandpa when he beat your ass?" Like that was 2 points to Ryan for that. Yes.
I do love Rolly. I'm wishing him well. I hope he can make it competitive. I hope he can keep his name strong. I hope he doesn't get flatlined. But you're right to bring up that there's more pressure on Ryan than maybe people are talking about because he hasn't been a consistent boxer ever. Like in terms of bringing top-level structure, sturdiness, and consistency to every fight. And I went back and watched the Haney fight last night again. And I just have to say, I'm so impressed by, even though his life was in chaos, even though he missed weight, even though there was all that BS around there, and even though he wasn't fully trained, which meant he couldn't fight for 3 minutes of every round, dude, his defense, head movement, situational awareness, like it was the best version of him we've ever seen. Maybe that's the drugs. I'm just not sure which drugs I should lean on here. Was it? I mean, what a Molotov cocktail to mix LSD with what's the thing he took?
What else was he taking? Yeah,
clomiphene. Yeah, clomiphene. Yeah, white lightning, clomiphene. That's a dangerous cocktail. Can sober Ryan still be explosive? I mean, did you see the videos with Derek James? He looks tight. He looks like he's working a right hand. Took Oscar a while to get a right hand. It took Cotto a while to get a right hand. He could be ready to become the best version of himself, and then he'll have this perfect pinata of Rolly in front of him.
Yeah, look, I mean, it does set up Ryan to look very good because if he can, assuming he can time Rolly coming in on one of those bull rushes, it could, that's the perfect situation for Ryan's left hook. We've seen him catch a lot of fighters with that punch in similar situations before, and Rolly is the type of fighter who really could just run into it in a way that leads to a spectacular knockout. And if it happens, that'd be fun. And look, Garcia's talent is undeniable, and it showed through even in the Haney fight where he was fighting a fighter of similar, roughly equal talent in Devin Haney, right? And he just it shows through. Like he's able to be a problem to anyone with his hand speed. He boxes well enough. He does fight. He fights with balls when he actually gets in the ring and shuts the fuck up.
Yep.
And he's a real fighter. It just, he doesn't get in the ring very often between also being a professional influencer and all the other dumb shit he does and being suspended for drugs and all these other things. But if he puts together a solid run, we will have to take him seriously because the eye test is there. It's always been.
When he got up off the canvas against Luke Campbell and had the biggest win of his career, we were like, oh shit, this might work out. He might actually be like a white Terry Norris, a guy that's going to get KO'd a few times, but is going to win some really big fights with balls.
I like how we just called him a white Terry Norris.
Should I have not?
I don't know if that's certified by La Raza, but yes, okay.
Yeah,
let's go with it.
But then I have to say it, dude. When the Tank fight, I just felt like he was unraveled and undisciplined, and I'm like, he might never get there. Don't forget, he took 2 years off after the Luke Campbell fight for mental health issues, which delayed his rise. But I just can't figure out if the swagger and the confidence and the poise against Haney is the natural maturation rate.
Yo. All right. When he took 2 years off from mental health issues, did he take 2 years off from Instagram, from social media, from all the shit that fucks up people's mental health?
No, he didn't.
All right, so shut the fuck up.
Wow. Wow. All right. I guess what I'm trying to say is we've never seen that consistency, but maybe this is part of the natural maturing process. And maybe all the serious stuff that happened last year, he's a dad of 3 kids. He got divorced. Like maybe it is time that we see the guy who actually prepares correctly, the guy who listens to his trainer. And maybe at 47,
if he can't buy a condom, how is he going to prepare for a fight?
He never jacked. He won't pull out until
he's listening to Teo on this. Keep it in.
No, but like seriously, like we seriously could be entering like the part of his career where he gets it, where he puts it all together, where he's a two-handed puncher, where he boxes more, where he's got the 12-round stamina. When you mix that with the heart we know he has, the balls he has, and the fact that all he wants to do is face the best, it's going to be fun, and he's going to win a couple of them.
I think you're right. If he gets in the ring.
A quick question from Antonio Monzo. Rafe, what do you think of Brian saying that Romero was a comedic talent in boxing?
I've never been as high on Rolly as a comedian. He's just crass, man. His voice is funny. It is, but it's to me, there's something not there. It's not there for me.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Wow. I'm dealing with the crop dusting that came after this explosion of fervor. I loved it. The passion. You know what I mean? Talk about the passion.
How many times does this guy get to cry wolf? Like, I have no sympathy for him. I have no empathy for him. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care about his people.
We are on the opposite sides of the track here on that. But Ryan by knockout, I say 5th round. Where are you at?
Oh, man. Okay, you got to be right, huh? I say maybe 3rd round.
And is it like spectacular? Does he absolutely? Because think about it. I don't think we're prepared for this. Even though everyone expects him to win and expects him to win by knockout, if he throws like a vicious 2-piece and like knocks him out cold, his stardom is going to restart and triple, right? Like we're going to be talking about that Haney fight will be massive.
I guess so. I'm not that excited about it, but I think it'll be fun to watch. I do think it's going to be great. I think there's a good it's difficult to predict a spectacular knockout because they even when the things line up for that to happen, I think is possible or even likely in this case. So much else needs to fall into place, right? The timing has to be perfect. All these, but I think if you ever want to bet on it, this is one because Rolly's probably going to be coming in. And even if he's not, I wouldn't trust Rolly to be any safer trying to box from the outside. Like that's also just a recipe for him to not know what's happening and get caught. So yeah, that left hand is going to find him and it's going to find him in a pretty funny way. That will be Rolly's true moment of comedy when he gets clocked with coming in or pulling out and Zab Judah-ing around the ring or just face first,
What's
anything.
the guy's name? The guy that Tyson KO'd, the guy that beat Ali, Trevor Burbick. Remember when he was doing the up and down dance, Zab Judah style? When
up and down dance, or maybe we get Rolly still punching from the mat. Those are always good. Those are kind of scary. Or we get the stiff arm. We got a lot. We got a lot to look for.
Testify. Yeah, that gets a little nerving right there. Ernest De La Cruz says Rafe is like my dad. He only roots for baseball players if they're from the Dominican, and there are a lot of players he roots for, by the way. So you will only root for boxers if they're
I don't know where this
Filipino,
is going, man.
Filipino or male, right?
I do root for males in boxing.
But you do love Filipinos. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, I have to.
All right, before we get into the Haney fight, we have some love here. Saul from the gutter of Louisville, my guy. Kentucky Derby plus big box. It's my all-star weekend. I mean, look, this is always the best weekend in sports. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. It's usually like a Yankees Red Sox type early baseball thing. Kentucky Derby, biggest boxing fight. There is I am excited about the extension, the stretching of the box. Normally we don't celebrate the stretching of that. All right. Thank you, Saul, for
I
supporting
celebrate
this
it every
program.
time. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hank Williams Jr. The fourth, excuse me, says about to catch a flight, so I'll miss the live show. Huge shout out to BC and Rafe. One comment: did you see Dmitry Kudryashov, the Hammer, KO Rydell Booker over the weekend? I did not see this, but
Respect
we did.
my Hammer. I love it.
Did you see the highlights?
No, I got to check that out. Shit, I love Kudryashov.
Yeah.
Also, Rydell Booker's still around. Jeez.
Indeed. Also, thank you for the love from Old Man Dave supporting the show. Reggie, Zoe, and Rafe. Happy May Day. Indeed, right there. Let's get Rafe more of that filthy, disgusting liquid crack money for him. I mean, if you fell into a little bit, if you had a scratch off ticket for $300, you're like, okay, I got some money to be stupid with. Is there a elite soda that you're like, yo, I'm gonna get that now? I'm gonna get the rich soda.
No, I don't know. Soda doesn't work that way. You like what you like.
All right. I mean, all right.
Have you ever liked any of those weird sodas? First of all, they all use the way they make themselves elite is by using, I don't know, cane sugar or real, not the weird, the sucrose we put into our sodas. All right. I don't even drink
scales. Yeah.
I only drink diet, man. So I just need the chemicals. Is there a higher level of chemical they could put in me? I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Alan W. all up in our box as always. Thank you so much for the love and support, Alan. Quick question for Mr. Cunningham for you, Rafe. Out of all the fights, only one fighter gets KO'd this weekend. Who is it?
Gets wins by knockout? Or
no, only one fight. Oh, well, only one fighter gets a KO. So
let's answer it both ways. Who wins by KO? That might be answered by the
Is it Ryan? Of the 5 big fights?
What about?
Inoue
is a pretty safe bet. I don't know who he's fighting, but it's he. Oh, by the way, on a couple of the podcast ad reads I've heard for this fight weekend, when they get to the Inoue part, they always say making his United States debut. Where is that lie coming from?
They're lying. They're lying.
Is that part of the promotion? Are they just lying throughout?
They're lying through their teeth. They are.
It's not. I was there at the StubHub Center. I saw him fight a Puerto Rican guy who survived 12 rounds and made it pretty boring, but was still. I can at least say that I saw the real. I saw the monster in person once upon a time.
He fought in Vegas during the pandemic. Don't forget it when.
He sent that Australian to hell.
Yeah, Maloney. Yeah, good call.
So it's not even his first time in Vegas. What the fuck, yo?
That's a lie. By the way, I always drink poppy soda out of John Skipper's fridge at Meadowlark.
What is that?
It's that expensive soda that they have at Whole Foods and shit. It's $3.
Do they have any other drinks in there? You got anything normal people drink?
Yeah. That fridge is like going to a
Whole
Trader
Foods?
Joe's, like a Trader Joe's, and they could just take whatever you want for free. No, I make sure no one sees me loot it, but I'll.
Do you bring a bag? Do you take leftovers?
No, not that aggressively. I'll just take more than I should. Okay. We haven't mentioned Jim Lampley before we get into this co-main event.
Why is he part of it?
So he's going to make his return to calling fights. What I don't know yet is he going to be the lead DAZN play-by-play pay-per-view guy, or will he be one of the alternate streams that they offer? Because they tend to offer True Geordie or Showbiz the Adult. And then there's like a Ring Magazine one that you can get like Coppinger, Dougie, and Steve Kim, which is a wild trio right there.
It was a really good punch by Inoue.
I don't like if Jim is going to do this. I hope they give him I hope it's not like, remember when Trump and Todd Grisham had that alternate stream on that Triller card during the pandemic? You know what I mean? Yeah, on DAZN, you could have bought the pay-per-view and got the.
How did I miss that?
It was Don Jr. and Todd Grisham. Wow. I hope he's not washed, even though he kind of, I don't know, like he's probably washed. I hope he's main play-by-play. Okay, they're saying Jim has been doing a tour here. 12-3 says Jim says it is main play-by-play. Okay, that's great. I'd rather be that than some like, let's bring back Berman and put it on ESPN Plus for the old guys to watch. What are you? Is there like a nostalgic part of your heart that's like, get him, Jim, and bring back Kellerman with you?
I don't know. Look, if it's that will be. I'm like Chris Eubank Sr. with this, where up until fight night, this is a fucking disgrace, Jim Lampley. Like the conscience of the sport, selling out to all of the, all of the concern trolling you subjected us to about fighter health over the years on
And dude,
HBO
he's been real
cards.
critical of Turkey the last 2 years, like real critical.
Okay, I ain't even paying attention, but yeah, you have all this to say, and then they've cut you a check and you shut your ass up. Yeah, Chris Eubank Sr. voice, what a disgrace, Rastafari. Shout out, like I is really disappointed with you, Jim Lampley. However, when the fights begin, and especially if there is some great moment, if Jose Ramirez is pushing Devin Haney and makes that into an exciting fight, if Arnold Barbosa and Teofimo Lopez produce a classic, right, where Barbosa is fighting above his head and Teo starts slow, but then Teo summons that inner in that talent that he has, which is some of the best in the sport, and starts coming back, and we get Lampley's voice calling big moments. Then I turn into Chris Eubank Sr. at fight night, and I'm like, he's the guy I always wanted. He's the best there ever was. I need his voice in every big moment.
Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Yeah.
I and I is now proud of you.
Wow. That was poignant. I hope Jim does kind of like how Star Wars Episode 7 was just like a total, let's make the old fans happy. Let's get the taste of Jar Jar Binks out of our mouth. Let's just play the hits. I hope Jim just plays the hits. I hope he cries. I hope he repurposes old catchphrases. I mean, I've been doing that on the PBC shows. I've been dropping Emmanuel Stewart tributes left and right. Like, I just want to see Jim play the hits and not be washed as shit and not be crying too early. Don't be crying like when they turn on the broadcast because you're just so happy to be there, Yeah, there it is. Okay, poor Jim Lampley had to exit HBO and exit boxing in that chick card that they had in LA. Remember that chick card? Yeah.
I mean, there was some Superfly action on that too, right? There were some tiny buff boys fighting.
Just imagine if you bought a ticket as well. Oh, Jerry, the Cosmic One, thank you for jumping in and supporting the show here. Brody Murat going back to the hits. Yes, on a Devin Haney fight. Just imagine if you bought a ticket, but you couldn't. Can't call Mr. Cancy either. New York City won't let you buy a ticket. Rafe, let's get into that great main event. Devin Haney, not a full welterweight move up. It's a 144-pound catchweight bout. But he's got questions that need answering coming off of being dropped 3 times against Ryan Garcia. And also not really getting the credit for kind of manning up and getting up and trying to win that fight and come back, probably because he had the worst year in PR history in which he sued Ragai and it wasn't great. He's a monstrous favorite against former unified 140-pound champion Jose Ramirez. We got to figure out here whether, is this, we all think Teo is the trap fight of the 3. Is there any case that it could be Ramirez, despite the odds, which DraftKings has Haney minus 900? You have Jose Ramirez plus 700. I feel bad for Jose because the first couple press conferences,
so you get more for, even though Haney is less of a favorite than Ryan is over Rolly. Didn't you say Rolly was plus 650? So you get more
value on
value. That's interesting. Anyway,
yeah, so Ramirez plus 700 according to DraftKings, Rolly plus 650. So this is the question to you: 33 years old? Is the Jose Ramirez? Is that a true fact?
That sounds right.
Let me.
He's washy. All right, whatever his age is, he's
32
washy.
years old.
Yeah.
Coming off of the loss to Arnold Barbosa Jr. by unanimous decision over 10 rounds last November. He won 2 fights against your brethren, or 1 fight against Rancis Barthelemy, and then stopped Richard Comey before that. Also took a decision from old Pedraza before that. All of those came after the unification loss to Josh Taylor. Have we retired this man too soon? Or like I'm saying with Rolly, we're moving up in weight, it might re-energize him. Is there a chance Jose Ramirez gets inside a tentative Haney and can push volume and intelligence and maybe have a shot at making this a fight?
Yeah, listen, as on paper, in our brains, what you're talking about is 100% a good read. I agreed with Natter. He seems like he could be a very live dog. This is the kind of like if Jose Ramirez still has a version of himself that is 75-80% of the fighter who entered the ring against Josh Taylor and fought well in that fight and kind of got a little bit of a raw deal with the big fight the punch that changed that fight coming on in the middle of a break. But in any case,
at least, yeah.
But also Taylor was good at that. It was really good at that point in his career. But anyway, what I'm saying is Ramirez, if that fighter still lives inside Jose Ramirez, then that's a difficult fight for Devin Haney because he was not a flashy fighter, but Ramirez had quick feet. So I in a way that if he pressured a fighter like Haney wouldn't be able to just dance around him and get and sort of turn and change and just get out of every corner as easy as he has made it look against sort of more plodding, aggressive fighters that he's beaten earlier in his career. And Ramirez has a jab, had a good jab, threw in combinations, was dangerous at points and times, right? Those hellacious left hooks that he stopped Maurice Hooker with. Like, he's a good fighter. But the problem I have with all that is there's still this side of, like, I've seen Jose Ramirez in his last 4 fights, and yeah, those names aren't bad. That's a decent run on paper. He hasn't looked like himself since the Josh Taylor fight. He does not look like he has that he goes after a win in the same way. He seems like he's just going through the motions, and because he's was once a championship level fighter, can still do that against other guys on the downside of their careers. Barthélemy, Pedraza, Comey, all those guys were way further down the hill than he was when he saw them, and does enough to win those fights. But he fought against Barbosa like a guy who doesn't, who knows he can lose and is okay with it. And, not to get too Teddy Atlas here, but once you see, I think he's halfway bottled it. And that is a bad sign to me and makes me skeptical of his chances to actually pull off that upset, or even challenge Haney in the way that, our ideal version of Jose Ramirez would. Now, I would love to see it, but I wouldn't bet on it. I don't expect to see it, but is it possible? Yeah.
All right. I've been thinking this whole time that we're going to get, maybe I'm being way too optimistic saying I think we're going to get the best version of Ryan ever. I think Rolly's going to feel less of a weight cut and motivated to not be a bum here. I also feel we're going to see a really good Devin Haney, a guy who probably has been in the gym for the past year, putting in the work, knowing his work ethic to try to close up those defensive holes that repeatedly appeared. I think that moving up 4 pounds is going to help him. He's got Shane Mosley as sort of his, secret silent trainer that's been working hard in the gym. The videos show him sitting down on power shots. Shane Mosley's, talking what trainers do talk, but saying like, this is such a dangerous version of him. He looks jacked. But are enough people talking about the flip side that Brody Moret's saying? Could Haney be, I don't think he could be washed, but he got concussed multiple times. That's a brutal loss physically and emotionally that he had, given all those circumstances. I still think he comes back and gets past that. You think we get a nasty, awesome, like, oh shit, the welterweight Haney is going to be the best version yet of him?
That is the question of how does Haney respond is pretty interesting, because he does seem to be a fighter who cares, who pays attention to his public image and cares about it. And it's been a shit year for that. And maybe if he cares that much, maybe he shouldn't have gone through that lawsuit stunt, which I kind of think was just, I agreed with at the time. I think that, like, you sort of have to, like, the powers that be in the sport don't do enough to hold cheaters accountable. So if you can do something beyond that, go for it. But in any case, it still, most people disagree and think he looked like a bitch ass for that. And that may not be fair, but that's the way people see it. Sure. But more than that, there's a question of how does he recover from what the fan community sees as a loss, even if it's a no contest on his resume. People think that he got beat last year, and at least until the fight, until the drug tests came out, he did get beat. I don't know. There are questions to answer about his mentality in this fight, and I hope we get a version of Jose Ramirez that can test those questions, that can actually see where Haney is at. I don't know that he took so much damage. He got knocked. He got caught a few times by a big puncher with incredible speed, and that put him on his ass. He got up from each of those punches. He won most of the round, almost all the rounds where he wasn't getting knocked down in. He fought pretty bravely. Like I feel like you need to see more than one suspect performance before we bring out Prince Nassim and start being like, it might sound horrible, but I think he should finish.
I mean, Hernus had a great point on that post a couple ago of like, if we see him coming out looking scared, then we didn't learn from this scenario. We didn't learn from this situation. I don't know if I necessarily needed to see him come out and hulkingly go for the KO, but I hope he has fixed the glitch to know how to be more offensive when he needs to be and not always try to be that elusive boxer. I know like the Garcia fight's hard to really gauge because he got jumped on in the first round. Ryan didn't drop him in round 1, but he spun his chin aggressively sideways and you know what I mean? So you never know, like AJ in the first Ruiz fight, sometimes you don't come out of that. Sometimes that'll affect your performance equilibrium wise. Was it the knee, Campione, or was it the first Cotto knockdown with that rocket left hook, Martinez? I mean, you got Alan W though sliding in with a topic that's tough to talk about, but maybe should be considered too. Snack, Balco, Mosley. Are we going to get EPO, HGH, Haney, or have we always been getting that? Right? Because he has been a weight bully. I'm really excited to see him once he does become a full welterweight, to see if his power improves from not always cutting down. Like, I think Ryan will be a bigger puncher at 47 than he ever was. I don't know that about Haney because he didn't really carry the power to 40. It'll depend on how hard that weight.
Never had the power to begin with is a problem.
True, except for that amazing, ridiculous Antonio Moran knockout.
Oh, yeah, but like that clearly was more of an Antonio Moran issue than a Devin Haney
Yeah,
issue.
good point. Very good point right there. Question again from Alan W supporting our show and our people here. Is Bill Haney the most disliked man in boxing? Because look, Rafe, I thought what they've done this week has been brilliant. Bill showing up to Ryan's media day, recording and filming, getting in Ryan's head. Like, I think it's worked. What they did at the beginning of this press tour, I think they came across as lame, but I'm kind of liking them leaning into the heel role right now.
I can't. Do people care enough about Bill Haney? I mean, I guess and Floyd doesn't like him. He seems to. I guess he's close to it. I don't. Yeah, I also hear that he's a powerful man. I don't know.
He used to be a pimp, they say. I don't know this. It's not easy.
Why even going there, man? You don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
Just that's what the streets are saying. That's what the streets are saying.
Okay, you get out on the streets. What do you know about these roads, bruv?
Yo, what up, What up, Jersey, the Cosmic One? That's what I'm talking about right there. I tend to agree with you. I don't think Jose Ramirez is going to go over his head. He's not a big puncher. He's an effective fight manager with volume and pressure. I don't think he's washed fully, but he ain't going to win here. What I don't want Haney to do is limp to a boring win. Either way, he's fighting Ryan, and either way, it's huge. But I want.
What are you asking for, Brian? Come on, man.
I'll tell you what.
Haney. All he's going to do is get a boring win. He could do it with some swagger, but that's it.
I'm asking for him to not survive in advance. I'm asking that we exit this card being so fired up about Garcia Haney too, and of the belief that Haney's still Haney again, and he might even need to be favored in it.
I think he could do that and still be boring. Like, boring Haney was a good fighter. That might be the best for. Like, look, my biggest question about Devin Haney will always be his chin. Like, he gets rocked every time he gets caught clean. And that seems like it's going to be a problem throughout his career. Say what you want about weight cuts. I mean, he took his time through a bunch of lower weights. If he was ready for 147 at that point in time, why wasn't he there? I think, to me, this is he doesn't quite have Amir Khan chin, but he's not far off of it. You know, we've seen it too many times. And I think that as he keeps fighting at these higher levels of the sport, it's going to be a problem over and over again.
It's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna be quickly from Zanny Pacquiao, BC and Rafe. How cooked is Devin Haney? The Cash Me Outside girl, how about that? Called him out in a song, she did, for hitting on her unsuccessfully with the line, could have effed Devin Haney, but he ain't hitting on shit. So apparently he did try to slide in and get up on that. Do you respect that move by him?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know what the kids like these days, but I have like Bad Baby was not, I guess she's put some money into getting cute, but man, she's just such a gross character. I wouldn't be in on it. But didn't Devin Haney used to wasn't his girl like a stripper before? Like he might be like
oh, as Rafe would say, don't say that. Don't talk about Adoyne Stevenson handling women, right?
Well, that was on that there's paper on that. He was arrested for that. There was a lot of reporting on that. I'm
with the way that Jen cleaned out.
I'm trying to get you. I'm just trying to keep you out of trouble next time you go to Vegas, man.
Oh yeah.
Also check in when you go to Houston.
For what?
Just check in with the managers there.
Jay's Prince?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I've never talked to Jay Prince in my life. I would like to.
You're never gonna.
Just like Mr. Cancer. Also, Alan W believes that I was ready to bury and retire Lamps with that commentary. I love Jim. We all love Jim. I don't want to see my heroes be where they shouldn't be. So I hope he brings it. I hope this man brings it.
I think he will. He's never been bad on a call. He is, he still brings it. You're also going to get like some weird moralizing, some storytelling, some tears. You're going to get the things that annoy people about Lampley, but you're also going to get the full Lampley. He strips you with the whole thing.
I would love to shake his hand one more time. Okay. He does tuck in his shirt like real tight to his jeans, but the guy's like 70 something.
Good for him that he's still trim and can do that.
He is still trim, man, and can do that. We both believe Haney's going to win, right? And it's going to be a decision win.
That's what I would bet. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to the really, really good one. The one that kicks off this triple header. Really, there's more than, I think there's 5 fights in total. Turkey is starting off with a New York City fireman against a New York City police officer in the first of, I believe, 5 televised bouts. Rafe, are you as a native New Yorker, is that like a solid move?
The bravest versus the finest. I get. Yeah. I mean, it's assuming it's done in mostly like good faith. That they aren't. Like, I don't want to see these guys like really killing each other out there. But whatever.
Okay. We can't wait to see Teofimo defend that 140-pound title against undefeated 33-year-old. But he's at his peak. This is his mountaintop moment.
Oh, sorry. I'm still thinking. I got. Sorry for the delayed reaction. Is Teddy Atlas going to be in the fireman's corner?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Give him like, awesome. We are firemen. He's like, the guy turns around. No, I'm a fireman. You run a foundation. Like, you're a TV actor. We are firemen.
This is the best fight on the card, odds-wise, competition-wise, most likely. And as we speak right now, DraftKings -225. Teofimo is your favorite, +180. Arnold Barbosa. But here's the key question, right? We know Teo's very inconsistent, really since the Lomachenko fight, for a lot of different reasons. The Taylor and Lomachenko performances we hold high. Then there's those other ones that keep us guessing. Is it dependent upon us getting the other Teo? The Teo that doesn't throw enough punches, the Teo that doesn't jab, the Teo that leaves rounds inexplicably close for no reason. Is that the only way that Barbosa becomes a world champion here in this kind of grudge match between the two of them?
I don't know if that's the only way, but I think that is if for Barbosa to win, I do think that he's gonna, like, it will certainly help if you get a version of Teo that has overlooked Barbosa a little bit, that is filing him away with Jermaine Ortiz and George Kambosos, who actually got the decision against Teo. And I think that Barbosa has proved a lot more in the ring that he's a higher class of fighter than those guys, that he is more dangerous. But if Teo is, I think if Teo is underestimating him, which he has done, will probably do again in the future, maybe doing this weekend. If that's the case, then I think that's great for Barbosa because then then he can and Teo's sort of showboating. He's not letting his hands go. He's letting Barbosa bank rounds and thinking that he's just going to get it all back with one perfect shot. All of that plays so well into a fighter with who is as consistent and disciplined and fights within himself, but fights very well like Barbosa. That's perfect for him. I think that's a great recipe for him to pull off this upset. I think that he's good enough to also beat Teo in a real fight where Teo shows up and presents a near peak version of himself. I don't know. The best we've seen of Teofimo Lopez is probably a slight level higher in terms of just raw talent and the explosiveness, ability to do things that no fighter is really ready for, can prepare for. But he doesn't always flash that. He had, to his credit, he's shown it at when he pulls it out when he needs it the most, right? Yeah. When he whips
Takes
it out,
that thing right out.
Yeah, and the other fight, and what's his name? Why am I blanking on Lomachenko's name? Lomachenko, Josh Taylor, they saw it and they were like, oh shit, that's okay. Let me slow down. It made an impact.
No Moschenko. Yeah. Do you believe Hernes here in saying that because Barbosa does fight a very poised, controlled style, he's not going to recklessly come in. He works behind that jab. He's sturdy. He's strong. Is this going to be a non-fun fight?
I don't know if it. I guess it depends on. A lot of that depends on how Teo approaches it. I think if he's looking to counter aggressively, if he is if he gets into exchanges, then I'm hopeful that it could become a pretty exciting fight, fought at a high skill level, which are I think a lot of our favorite kinds of fights. But yeah, it's if Teo decides to try and sort of stay on the outside, be a little, just play it cool, it could be boring because I don't know if Barbosa will have enough to sort of close that distance against a fighter who can change distance and level really quickly like Teo does.
Yeah.
Still, look, I'm hopeful for it. If it doesn't produce fireworks, I think that means it'll at least be competitive. Hopefully we can talk ourselves into a chess match.
I'd like a competitive fight here. I'd like a fight where Barbosa stands his ground. I need to see the explosive Teo. I need to see the guy who's coming in with those punches off rhythm, almost Roy Jones level leaping hooks. I need to see that guy to come back, but I also need him to have that other half. That other half is he has to be more aware ring generalship wise of where he's at in the fight, how many rounds he's banked, and when to go back to the jab and use it. Teo, I don't know if it's just, when he fought Taylor and Lomachenko, the threat level was so high that he knew he had to be as poised and disciplined and almost perfect. He fought perfect in both fights outside of the second half of the Loma fight, like where Loma came on, and he even sealed the deal in the 12th round.
You could still say he fought close to a perfect fight. Even, no one has masterclassed Lomachenko.
No, but that was a long time ago as Brody Moret would jump in and counter. I just still think that's in Teo. I just think he's too wild and weird and inconsistent to always pull it out. He's going to have to pull it out here. I think he wins, but I think it will be a close decision. I'm going to even go majority here. But I think it's going to be one of those where you're like, okay, he left it a little too close, but he's the better fighter. That's a good win. Who you got next?
That is a classic Teofimo Lopez performance. The one where you're like, I think he could have done a little bit more, but I guess I'm okay with him winning this fight.
That's kind of what it is right there. Let's go to Saturday night and Canelo. I mean, no one's really excited. I mean, I don't mean to be like a hater on this, but I wrote the preview for CBS Sports and I'm like, nobody cares. And they really don't have a reason to care. It's like the only reason this belt was up for, super middleweight undisputedness again was because Canelo got stripped of it because he wanted to fight Berlanga, his right, rather than the mandatory against William Skull, the Cuban-born, German-living, unbeaten, who's really hasn't beaten anybody, to be very fair. He beat Sean Hemphill, who was a Showbox alum. He won fights against a couple guys in Germany that were unbeaten, but this screamed of like a guy getting the number one mandatory position when against two. Who is he? And then, the win over Vladimir Shishkin for the vacant title, it was less than spectacular, less than impressive. You could see that he's got skill. He comes from the Cuban base. There's some speed. There's good timing. He doesn't throw a lot of punches. He holds a lot. I thought he got hurt by Shishkin down the stretch and kind of was lucky to hang on in a lot of ways. Rafe, like this, we know what this is. It's only so Canelo can be undisputed so that Bud will have the chance to become the first 3-division 4-belt undisputed champion, right? It's Canelo saying, I'm not saying I wanted the Jake Paul fight more. I did not. But like, it's basically Canelo like taking the money. He doesn't care. Who cares if there's 6,000 people at that stadium on Saturday? Who cares if the Mexican fans won't be there? I feel like all of us are like, yo, who cares? Anyway, who cares?
Yeah, I'm just like I'm a blanket. Who cares on this one? I don't care. Not me. Who was the worst Floyd opponent in the Showtime run? Was it Berto? Oh, Berto. Okay. Oh, okay. Pre-Berto, I guess.
Guerrero pre-Berto.
Guerrero, yeah. Is this as bad as that? Is this worse? Yeah, at least we had seen that. He beat Berto. You got to beat Berto to fight Floyd.
I mean, Berto went to the shoulder. He almost got blind. He went to the.
That shit was crazy. Yeah. CrossFit beats shoulder roll. It's like rock, paper, scissors.
It's nobody cares. So what are we going to get here? The odds are minus 4,000 Canelo Alvarez, plus 1,500, 40-1 favorite. It makes sense. He's going to slowly hurt Skull to the body. He's going to figure out his rhythms, corner the ring, put it on him, and probably get him out of there 8 or 9. It will look like the Caleb Plant fight, but you know, Skull will do nothing.
It's about right. Maybe Canelo does us all a favor and ends it earlier. But I think you're right. I mean, he's probably going to want to get some rounds in and get some cardio. Fantastic.
And he's got a weird haircut for this. No one everything about it feels so synthetic and sad and just like such a gratuitous money grab. Like it just makes, I don't know, like the reason that these fights have to be in Saudi, if it was at least a loaded Saudi crowd and people going nuts, you'd be like, all right, that's cool. But why are we bringing them there if the atmosphere sucks? Is it a money thing?
Yes, I think it is. Well, no, I don't know the real answer to this question, Brian, but I imagine it probably is because they're spending their money to make all these fights. The point of it is to make them on home soil. Like, you know, yes, it's also useful to go do them in other places and try and expand the brand that way, but they probably still need, you know, a certain like 50% or what, you know, even if there's not a hard number, they still need that stuff to be happening, you know, in Riyadh.
Yeah, it's just like, man, I really don't care at all. Like, get it over as fast as possible. I hate to say that, but Skull doesn't belong here. If it was a mandatory like an Avni Yildirim, but Canelo was staying busy, you'd just be like, okay, cool. But
is this as bad as Triple G versus Vanis back in the day?
Yeah, well, at least there were circumstances surrounding why that happened because Canelo ate that Mexican beef. Quickly on that undercard, do you care at all about Bruno Soares getting the rematch with Munguia after knocking him out?
I mean, just in that it could be fun, right? I mean, like Munguia fights are fun because he's not good, you know.
F.A. Ajagba versus Martin Bakoli, 12 rounds heavyweight.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Badu Jack, like you mentioned, against Noel McCallan for the WBC Cruiserweight title. Badu's been out forever, it seems. Marco Verde is the Eddie Reynoso-trained Mexican Olympian, who I think this is his pro debut against Michel Polina on this card, so I'm into that. Also, Brian Leon, who I think he's a Miguel Cotto guy. I called one of his fights early in his career. He's going to take
Lionheart.
Aaron Guerrero.
He's got a big heart, Lionheart.
Big heart right there. And now Sunday, Top Rank, 10 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus. Again, nobody seems to care.
This is as bad as the Skull fight. I don't care either. I love me some.
Right. It's better than the Skull fight. I
care.
Called Ramon Cardenas' fight before. He's from San Antonio. He's got power. He's kind of fun in that he like roars back late in fights and goes for it. He's going to be completely outclassed here. We know that. I don't know what else to say. I mean, what do we say?
Nothing. Like, it's a showcase. It's exciting to have Inoue back on U.S. soil fighting.
Inoue's a 50-1 favorite.
Whoa! So odds-wise, it is worse.
I mean, it's probably worse because right now Inoue's a better fighter than Canelo, so he has more ways to do immediate damage. I mean, so Cardenas got the fight because you need a Mexican Mexican American in the main event on Cinco de Mayo weekend, right? I'd rather have it like Saturday afternoon or so. I don't know. I just feel like this is so pushed to the end of the weekend. Like we're forcing it in for no reason. It's again an Inoue opponent that we're not jazzed for, although we were spoiled for a while. Yeah, I guess it is what it is. I don't know if there's much more to say on that.
No, I mean, it's, we'll check it out because it's Inoue, but other than that, I don't expect anything other than a showcase.
All right, Rafael Espinoza, who I've loved his journey. He's going to defend his WBO featherweight belt against Edward Kid Vasquez. I think that's a Lou DiBello guy in the co-main. Fabian Madonna.
Nice.
Yeah. Marcos's Chino's brother is going to take on Rohan Polanco, who I kind of like him lately. The top ranked welterweight. He's been coming on. Emiliano Vargas, son of the legend himself, is on there. Ra'i Salim is back on that undercard. We haven't heard from that guy in a while.
Whoa.
And
yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, so that's what you got going on this weekend. Between that, outside of that, I don't think you care much about Thursday night's DAZN card from South Africa, but maybe you do. Kevin Lorena will defend his WBC Bridgerweight title against Sergey Radchenko.
I care a little bit. I like Lorena's interesting, with his weird, skinhead tattoos.
Tulani Mbenge will take on Emmanuel Mungandela, 10 rounds welterweights in the co-main. But how about Tabiso Mchunu?
Oh, I love that guy. Shout out to NBC Sports.
Yeah, he'll be an 8-round cruiserweight bout against Amador Kalanje. That's all the crap we've got time for. Let's hear, though, if we can, from Chris Eubank. And I play this clip over and over and over again, if I can only find it. Here we go. Let's do it. Stay with me. And yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
You better watch out, dreadlocks. You better watch out because we have come for you. Oh, sorry. It's my mother's tongue again. It comes through. You'd better watch out because we're not playing. We're real and we are a terror. And the procedure will be parliamentary. You better.
Yeah, the procedure. It's just brilliance personified, Rafe. Unlike
I know that you are already every time that Eubank breaks out into his patois, you're just thinking, all you are thinking about is Steven Seagal in Marked for Death. You're like, oh, which brother is he? Is he Two-Face?
Yeah.
Scarface?
Yeah. Hope there's not triplets, as they said at the end of Marked for Death right there. A hell of a show, hell of an enduring performance from you, Rafe, to talk about this much box over 2+ hours.
I just thank you, Osterine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to enjoy the fights this weekend. I'm going to be hitting up Friday night, a post-fight Ryan Garcia reaction. I doubt there will be a need after the Canelo fight, but who knows? Rafe, are you going to watch the fights this weekend live?
I intend to, yes.
Okay. Enjoy them. All right. Enjoy them. I think there was a question to you, Rafe. Thank you, 9:15 a.m. for your support. Is Shakur Stevenson the best right now, as BC claims, Rafe?
The best what?
Young fighter, pure boxer, potential pound for pound future king once he fights the right people. Like, is he the boss at the end of the 140, 147 video game when all these guys move up and fight each other? All these kings, all these princes.
I don't think so.
You think it's Keyshawn?
Maybe, yeah. I like him better.
All right, and finally here, Brody Moret. It's time to be honest. Dimitri Pirog would have cooked Triple G.
He sure cooked Danny Jacobs, man. I mean,
yeah,
he can't really take that away from him.
Yeah, I mean, Danny ended up getting M's, but he had to talk to Mr. Cancer twice, yes. Right? Once the real guy.
I think he'd rather talk. I think he's more afraid of Pirog than Cancer.
All right, that's the great show, New York Cubayo. We need a Bake Kong breakdown. That's Rafe Bugs. I'm your boy BC. Get after it. Maybe on the way out, hear the best outro they've got going on in podcast. Rafe, say something to the people.
We out.
Yeah.